Alrighty. Welcome back to Finding Truth podcast on the Unscripted Truth TV. I'm Logan here with Austin once again. And tonight we're going to delve even further into the Cobain mystery religion at this point. And go a little bit of the satellite stories. One being, of course, his maybe one of the more famous people to come out of that whole ordeal, which is Dave Grohl, which is, of course, the front man of the Foo Fighters. Plenty to talk about there, and a couple more cursory, people and things to do with the Cobain suicide. But without further ado, let's kick it over to Austin, who has lots to talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got to get into a couple things I mentioned in the last couple streams we did. Just elaborate a little bit more on that because there's a lot there. Of course, the Foo Fighters talked about those two albums, Sonic Highways and their original album, their first album that came out, the one with the gun on it, of course. It's interesting that the first album with the gun came out on 7/4. Date that can be written 4/7, which is our nation's birthday, which I find very strange as well, going with all the 47s, of course, Nirvana 47 and Dave Grohl 47. Just a real interesting date for that album. And, the fact there's that gun on it and everything. And of course, like I said, the Sonic Highways album. The Sonic Highways album, the cover, I first saw this album when it came out. It came out November 10th, 2014. Funny that's the date of the Marine Corps' birthday. So you kind of have this, our nation's birthday at one album, and the Marine Corps birthday with the other. I find the dates kind of interesting with these two albums. And of course, 19 years old. There was 19 years between these two albums. Of course, Foo Fighters from Seattle. And it just got this very interesting cover. When I found it in the store.
The Marine Corps?
Yeah, November 10th is the Marine Corps birthday.
Yeah. I see it right there. I'm tripping.
Yeah, and the album cover has, like I said, it has Seattle, of course, as well. And it has the World Trade Center, it has New York, and of course I brought up that, Seattle, New York connection, and how much, is there. And this is such a vivid picture because you even have the Statue of Liberty. It's all right in there, and it's very interesting how they made it, because it's, when I first seen the album, I picked up, I just like, what is this album? I seen Seattle and in the Space Needle in there, but I wasn't quite sure exactly what I was looking at, because it was like, what is this? It's like, and I didn't really see the connection then like I do now, of course, all these years later. But of course, like I said, there's the One World Trade Center, you have Statue of Liberty, you have New York, that Seattle, New York connection. And of course, like I said, it's 19 years, and then 2014 when that album came out, it was 20 years since Cobain died. Of course, he died born on 2/20, died with the 20 gauge. So it's very interesting, that album cover. I always thought that was a very interesting look to it. And like I said, the connection there with Cobain, and then of course that's when Soaked in Bleach was being made as well, and then that came out there in 2015. Of course, the Seahawks that year, that was a big year for Seattle. There was the Super Bowl as well. 206 area code, 206 passing yards for Russell Wilson. So just, you see how that time there was just all these things that were really coming into the forefront. A lot of imagery with the albums and everything showing the connection. Of course, even, just look at what's called Sonic Highways. What's the definition of a highway? Everything's connected, right? It's all connected. It's all one. So the mockery there is just very vivid, I always thought. And they kind of, when you look at the Sonic Highway signs that won't show that, it'll show different things. Like they went too far. They, like on 9/11 with the jet coming through, they had to black that out. Like, oh, we went too far with that one. But yeah, a lot of connections there. And there's a lot of things that happened during that time. Of course, there was, and I forgot to mention Danny Goldberg, Nirvana's manager. He equals 65, just like Chris Novoselic. He's a big part of this as well.
Goldberg, you can't miss a guess on what he's all about.
Yeah.
A name like that. Danny Goldberg, huh?
Yeah, so interesting. He's got that 65, like Chris Novoselic, the reflection of 56. And of course, there's in March there was March 19th, 1994, between the Cobain Rome suicide attempt and then the Cobain death. There was on March 19th. There was the Denver airport. That's when the Denver International Airport Commission got created. So it's kind of interesting how that's in there at that Seattle Denver connection, that Super Bowl that year, and everything.
And
Those two states.
that's not a small thing. A lot of people don't understand what's going on with the like. First of all, airports in general. That's a whole. I mean, we could have it. Hopefully, we get into some thicker like tinfoil stuff. But the Denver airport, that's like number one conspiratorial airport in the USA. Like that's known for insane stuff. Not only the artwork, which a lot of I think has been decommissioned like sort of recently, but it's known for being like highly occultic and crazy. Just in what you think, people are just walking by there trying to get to their flights and buy overpriced egg sandwiches. To think that they have the things that they have at the Denver airport is quite crazy.
Yeah, I've actually been to the Denver airport a couple of times, never been in it and seen all the murals and everything that's in it. But yeah, I find that really crazy that, that got established in the middle of kind of all this too. Interesting timing. It's like Justin Bieber. He was born the same day, March 1st, 1994, as the day Nirvana played their final concert there in March 1st, 1994. And he's a, big part of today's society. Then he blew up too, born on a specific day like that. And of course he's tied in with the Diddy stuff going on in the 5-4 connection, everything. That's just really interesting how they have that, especially that's when, Cobain overdosed right then and there. And then they had the simulation for that and his death and everything. Like I talked about how it's all even, it's connected with 9/11 now. Osama bin Laden died at 54, and there's, the 54, 4, 5, and then of course bin Laden, of course, Osama bin Laden equals 47, Nirvana 47, Dave Grohl 47. It's just, how they have these stories set to go with these numbers, these specific numbers, these specific dates, these specific places, and that just reminds me, the highway sign here, it's stuck on 54th Street closure, and they have it on Highway 5 and Highway 16 right now, and it's just in my face every day. So it's like, I know that can't be no accident here in Seattle. So it's like, what are they trying to tell me? And it's just, some of this stuff is really spooky. When I was living in Wyoming, this is something that was just really strange. I have to tell this story. I was living there, and then one day I looked at my Google Maps. I noticed next door, I couldn't believe it. They put a Nirvana pet spa right next to where I was living. And the funny thing about it, it actually opened a day after my birthday on the Church of Satan's birthday, April 30th, the same day Obama and Trump joked about the presidency there. And I just find that specific day, how they opened that a day after my birthday, right where I'm living. It's just like, how does this stuff even happen? How spooky it is.
Yeah. Nirvana pet spa. Let's go.
It's just like I said, MTV Unplugged equals 54, and it's got, and all these 54s, they're all like double 54s. It's not even like 154. I mean, it couldn't be any more Jesuit. And of course, Kurt Cobain and Lane Staley both did MTV Unplugged and they died. So, and it's just, it's just such a crazy setup for all this. And then, of course, another connection, how all these things are connected. There's, the Wisconsin Washington connection through all this, Seattle, of course, 44, Wisconsin equals 44. And in, when Nirvana was making Nevermind, the song Polly, and some stuff got recorded in Madison, Wisconsin. So a lot of it, most of it was Seattle, but why would they go to
Russell
Wisconsin?
Wilson went to Wisconsin.
Yep. There's that big connection, that 44, and Seattle 44, Wisconsin 44, and these are the places they're going to go to record more a little bit. It's just like, why would they go there? And then it's just like, like you said, and then you have all these years you're talking about, Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love, like I was through all these years, and then who's the quarterback for the Packers now? It's Jordan Love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the way they mock you and set that up, like, oh, you were talking about all this time here. Oh, now you're going to get Love. Now we're going to mock you with that.
I even saw in something quite a ways a long time ago, but it stuck in my head. This is back when I was a kind of more of a sports buff, and basically anything Seattle or like Portland Trailblazers. I saw a story, something about the Packers initially, like I think Seattle was vying for the Packers to have the Packers be in their town. But this is, prior to this Seahawks. So that's also interesting.
Yeah, there's so many connections, with the Packers and in Wisconsin, there in Seattle too, and all these teams, and that's all these connections. I'm pointing out, and all these how things just from Seattle can all of a sudden connect to Wisconsin, and why these things happen, or why they go to Colorado and Denver, like why March 19th. Of course, there's that 19. It's always that 19, like the 19 years between these two big albums by the Foo Fighters. There's no accident. You can't escape the 19. It's like you can't escape the 5-4. You can't escape these certain numbers, and there's a ton of numbers in here you can't escape. And then it's like the way they mock you with all this. We're talking about Kurt, and then here all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes Hurricane Kirk. And that equals 49. It's like what we're talking about, like Washington 49, and Nevermind equals 49, Reflection of 94, and we got in all that connection with New York and everything, and Seattle and everything, and it's just now they got to mock you with this Hurricane Kirk, and then if you write out Hurricane Kirk, it's got the it's 88 like Trump, and it's got the 74-47 connection right there. So it's like these things are no
that
accident.
could be a big toe. I mean, what bigger than a, crap's happening again. What bigger, flex, if you will, than a hurricane named after you. A hurricane with your numbers. Right before a big election. This is high ritual. This is.
It's like Kirk Cousins, Kirk Cousins too, like Kurt Cobain, Kirk Cousins, like the way they come up with these names. KC, Kurt Cobain, the Kansas City Chiefs. It's like there's like certain mockeries with all this.
Is Cousins still playing?
I'm not even sure if he's still playing.
Oh, he's with the Falcons. Oh, interesting. Did they just have a big comeback this week? I'm so out of sports nowadays. Really, it's just Zach that I get it from.
I can't stand to watch it either. Oh, it's funny too. I can't. The 47 car won in NASCAR again today too. It's just. I mean, it's just it couldn't be any more in your face. I mean.
And yeah, so back to Grohl, I would say with his success being so prevalent after, of course, the changing of the guard, if you will. Now, keep in mind, he was very young into his career, and he was never a founding member. He's never been a founding member. Well, up until Foo Fighters, I'm saying he wasn't a founding member in his previous bands until after Kurt Cobain. He replaced a drummer in his first like mainstream band. Not really mainstream, but like noteworthy band. It was called Scream, and he replaced a drummer called Kent Stax. I haven't done much of the gematria on these things, just kind of cursory information, pointing out that cream rises to the top. And if you have, all the cream already sitting at the top, you're just spoiled milk under there. And you got to get rid of that rich cream. And then people will start seeing you maybe as something more than what you are once you get rid of the higher talent around you. And that's kind of how these people operate. And whether or not it was Dave Grohl's decision, who knows, he's rocking his Jesus piece. I'm sure he's super religious.
Yeah.
But what you do notice about this is that these secret societies, that they have their grips on all forms of entertainment. Music is obviously no exception. It's maybe the no exception. And the footprints are all over it. Not only did he, is he embroidered in one of the biggest music, infamous music stories. He's doing he's in the middle right now while we're talking about this. This currently happened a little while ago, but he's still going through, his shaming ritual. When you realize what these Masonic, occultic shaming rituals entail, you can spot them a mile away. Now, his is having to do with a baby out of wedlock. Another thing I want to speak on is the fact that he's had all girls. Take for that what you will. We might get into, some more belief systems and what we think about certain things about just having to do with life and like potential magic or the magic of life or whatever, or, reading into something that, it should be around 50-50. So to have 4 kids and have them all be girls, that should be something noteworthy, right? But not only that, if you notice right here, he's 55 years old currently right now. And I'm sure you had something to say about that because 55 is a big number with a certain secret society because of who they worship, which is Satan. Obviously, it's prevalent in the music industry. Satan equals 55. Zach talks about Marilyn Manson all the time with his, I don't say God, I say 10.
Yep.
And, with, of course, Satan equaling 10 as well. So, double play on words he does there. But I mean, these rock bands are obviously all influenced by, the predecessors. Meanwhile, you look at his wife. Well, let's do a quick gematria check first. Never mind her, looking her up. But his wife, who's, in the middle of this story, she can't trust him. And I mean, what's that equal? Oh, 55. So, well, Dave Grohl's 55 and the wife equals 55. They're having a story about a child out of wedlock after she's had, 3 kids for him. He has one with a little mistress side piece. Interestingly enough, the 44 stands out as well. But what's up with her name? I mean, pursed-lipped, wasp, white wife, her name is Jordan with a Y. It's like, you can tell these clandestine names, they're stage names, in my opinion. These things are all stage names. The world's a stage, so why wouldn't they have stage names? He was probably born John Williams. But no, your name's now Dave Grohl because like that has some like, it has the first 2 letters of grunge in it, and you're going to be grungy and you're going to be like raw and Grohl. People are going to reminisce with that name. That John Williams isn't doing it. That's not going to be the face of a grungy band. But cursory information, just her name equaling 55 being in the headlines right now, which is why I bring that up as well, not to mention just the connection, is that it is drawing his daughters into this. And, one of the things we talked about pretty heavily, might have been last episode, we touched on, remind me of Cobain's daughter's name?
Francis
Francis Bean, yeah. But, just the idea that like there's all daughters. Does anyone having any boys in the rock and roll industry, I guess? But, what are they trying to tell us here? In my findings, it has a lot to do with not only influencing the youth through music, but, what they're actually doing to the youth. These kids coming up in these homes are, I don't think that there's a loving core behind it. I think it has a lot to do with serving them up to the industry.
Yeah, and it's no coincidence. I mean, it's like, ritual, 45 and 27. It's exactly what you get with Cobain. It's, and it's, like I said, all these connections with all these people. I mean, yeah, and it is these people are, it is just a stage, just these clowns, these actors, these puppets on the world stage, and all these people, just the way they are. And it's like I said before, you can just see right through it, and it's so obvious. And then it's like, you get people, like Kurt or someone that doesn't really maybe fit the agenda. They don't like them. Well, they just take them out, or they sacrifice them in a ritual, or, whatever happens. And this is just one of those situations where it's like I said, these people are still around. The Nirvana, just it's everywhere. I mean, I like you said, I've been seeing it more too lately than I probably ever have as well, and it's just it's not going away, and these people aren't going away. I mean, like I said, just 2 years ago, Year of the Tiger. I mean, Dave Grohl's drummer. I mean, so Taylor Hawkins.
Mhm.
So that was a big ritual too, and it's just like, yeah, this is going to continue on, and that's why I just show how it's connected. All this is all these connections, like just to somebody like a Dave Grohl, just gets thrown in the mix with all this because he was born for the role and has all the right numbers. I mean, and that's why he's the biggest guy in rock and roll. I mean, Kurt Cobain dies, who's number one? It's Dave Grohl, right? I mean, who else would it be?
And as far as competition too, I haven't done a deep dive. Lord knows I wasn't like super heavy on this necessarily form of rock, although they definitely evolved into the alternative scene because grunge kind of like went back into obscurity, uh, which gave rise to the alternative scene, which split off with emo and other things. Like I was definitely turned off from the Creeds and the Nickelbacks and the Green Days. I was never a fan of those representing alternative rock, but it's such a broad um, musical genre that it encompasses a lot of different bands. Some of my favorite bands. This is me saying favorite bands, kind of referencing my old self. I still listen to music. I still can enjoy music, but it it's from a whole nother perspective in my life nowadays. But like the Strokes, that was those are a good band, a big band for me. Arctic Monkeys, things like that. So you have all these different styles kind of like wrapped up into alternative, and obviously Foo Fighters definitely evolved into alternative rock. You can't say they're grunge at all anymore. In fact, now they're what are they, like soundtrack rock? Everybody softens up over time, but you see that a lot with Foo Fighters, especially with how they started. They were very much so almost like it made, their music videos made you feel like you were watching like a overboard occultic jackass video. In my opinion,
Yeah.
it's a very strange aesthetic that they went for, but that was kind of like still grungy or not. I'm kind of going on a diatribe here, but point being, grunge really died. I'm not saying it's dead, but it drifted back into obscurity with the death of Kurt Cobain. And what I think about when I went with these rituals is logistics. Why? Okay, so he is dead. Was the only goal to kill Kurt Cobain? That's where I don't think a man with a certain message. Yeah, I can see that. If he wasn't going to play along, yeah, I could see that. He was such a popular figure just in such a short amount of time. Maybe a lot of that was organic and they didn't have control over that narrative as much as they would want. Whereas Dave Grohl would, succumb completely and bow down to his handlers and say, yes, do whatever you need. Get rid of him. I'll be the guy for you. But you look at the direction music went, and you can see it. I've been to several concerts, and it's a mellow, it's a much more mellow, much more, you know, sonically, it's just what people are just there to listen to music. They're not there to fuck shit up. Whereas like grunge was fucking shit up. And that's like not as easy to control. And maybe that's, you hear certain concerts have, gone overboard in the past. But I think when it comes to control, you don't want a thing like grunge. You don't want something inspiring people to, solely not, not be beholden to rules, to embrace anarchy. You don't want that to get out of control. Whereas alternative rock, it's like, who's worried about a Creed concert going overboard? These people are filing out single file without anyone asking them. This is so I do see logistically that to make a more palatable population, that it was almost necessary to get rid of two uncontrollable of music, if that makes any sense. I know that was kind of a roundabout way of saying that. Maybe I could have said that a little bit better, but
No, I mean, I agree. And, like I said before, like Kurt Cobain, you look at somebody like that, look at his concerts, he's diving in, the audience, he's jumping around, he's, doing flips and handstands, he's throwing things, he's smashing things, he's fighting with people, there's a ton of energy. There's a lot of moving around, and there's just a ton going on. And, with, like I said, like Dave Grohl and Chris Novoselic, they're not doing that. They're not that type of person. They're not doing what Kurt was doing and what other people do. Like it's like the band, Slipknot. I know it's funny because Dave Grohl and Corey Taylor are supposedly, pretty close. It's funny because they came up with Gematria, the killing name. That's where I first heard of Gematria back in 2008 when they released Gematria, the killing name. That's when I found this information out. I didn't really know Gematria, but I like, what is this word with Gematria? What am I saying? What
who's
is that? And I kept asking, what is it with this? And me and my buddy would be talking about it and stuff. And it's like, and it's funny because, and then 2010 there, Paul Gray, death, murder, killing. Like I said, all equals 38. He dies at 38. Paul Gray equals 38. And he was, one of the founding members. He wrote a lot of the music. I know he didn't write Gematria, the killing name, but maybe the killing name, but someone added that Gematria on there. And Slipknot there, and the other founding member, Joey Jordison, the guy who named Slipknot, he named it back in '95 when they first started. It's funny, they get started 95, Dave Grohl gets started 95. It's just this timing of all this. And like I said, and then you got the he dies, like I said, Joey Jordison, Paul Gray's dead. I know another member quit and stuff, and I think maybe somebody else too. So it's like, yeah, they're down to like half the people they started with. But two of them are dead, and they were two of the founding members. The other founding member is still alive, the clown, but Sean Cran. But yeah, the 9 members, and it's interesting, because now Slipknot too, they were kind of looked at as the other top, like, music thing, after Nirvana, and what's kind of current to now, 95 to now. And then, the connection there at Dave Grohl, and then, kind of being close, those two, Corey Taylor, and he's got his other band, Stone Sour. And I know he did that song with Apocalyptica too. So he's someone that's, kind of been around a lot too. But I think, after probably All Hope Is Gone with Gematria, the killing name, I feel like that's kind of where they sold out after that point. And, because they've changed too. Even they're like, what Slipknot used to be just like this crazy, just wild stuff. And now you look at it too, and it's just like so died down there from, Des Moines, Iowa. And it's, funny, there's the Des Moines, Iowa too, in Des Moines, Iowa. And then there's the Des Moines, Iowa up in Seattle too. So there's that connection. There's the two Des Moines. So it's funny how all this does connect. And like I said, that Paul Gray ritual in 2010 there, that album came out in 2008, and he was the first to die after this. And then, it's funny too, they had a song out. They added a few songs, Child of Burning Time, Vermilion Bloodstone Part 2 remix. And then they added, and then they did a song, Till We Die. That was the last song they came out with, a bonus track, I think in 2009, and Paul Gray ends up dead. So it's like, look at that. What are the chances of that? The mockery. It's like,
yeah, very.
And of course, they wear the mask. The mask, like the face diaper, kind of. It's kind of a mockery there.
Right here, it's just like, are we? Why not name it hell? Is hell too like used of a word? But they have Gematria, the killing name, and they're going to use 3 out of 4 numbers to spell hell here. It's just, the signaling it can't be any clearer that, one of the things that I feel like we're going to have a real good music episode one of these days, like where we go into music, maybe not anything specific. We can talk about specific things, but like just talking about music as a whole. I know I have a lot to talk about, especially, anyway, but a lot of people, I think one thing that helped me was, first of all, stop idolizing music. That like right there, if you still idolize music, you're never going to, especially if you idolize, one step further, you idolize the bands, you idolize the members and everything like that. Don't do that. Find a way to break away from that. These people don't know you or love you. But on top of that, if you can just, if you need to hear the lyrics, if you need to look at the track listings, just why? Ask yourself why. The first question is why. Why are they named the way they're named? Why are they saying the things they're saying? It kind of woke me up. Muse was a big I think that was the one that kind of broke me out of the music matrix, honestly. Not to say that they aren't in it. It was because they're so in it. And Muse kind of represents the anti-establishment for normies. But the biggest joke is that they are completely against you. Their music is everything you think would be pro-human. It is the complete opposite. They are coming from the ruler's frame point of view. It's the ruler's POV talking about. It's interesting. Well, it's like I said, we'll get into a big music day, but music episode, I think. But that kind of woke me up as I was, just listening to the lyrics, wondering what the hell are these people talking about? And
right. It's like I said with Kurt Cobain and Nirvana with their first 3 songs talking about a gun. The first song, "Load Up on Guns," and then the second song, "The One That Likes to Shoot His Gun," and then the third song, "No, I Don't Have a Gun." So, like I said, it's just the lyrics. Like I said, the albums, when the albums come out, the dates, the way the album covers look, the songs, the way they're listed, what they talk about. Yeah, it's no coincidence. I Feel Stupid and Contagious. I mean, there's so many others. Nirvana song and Slipknot songs where the mocking is just at an all-time high. I mean, it's all the stuff I've listened to. I especially listen to Slipknot. Like I said, those first 4 albums, I've listened to all the Nirvana songs, all the Nirvana albums. So I know all the songs, I know all the lyrics and everything, and yeah, I mean, it's all there. I mean, it's the way they line it up to mock you, and the way they have all this stuff ready to go. I mean, it's no accident.
Of course not, especially when you get behind these labels and
yeah, and I forgot to mention the Roswell records, that's on the Foo Fighters there with those albums, and then there's the New Mexico, Seattle in the that connection.
Yeah.
With everything there. So there's that connection, how that's kind of, Roswell, New Mexico, and how that's all connected, and the Roswell and the Seattle.
Is New Mexico the 47th state? Why do I think there's something to 47 about New Mexico?
Seattle's on the 47th parallel.
Oh, it's the 48th. Okay. I was close. Interesting.
And they have the crash landing there, the alien crash landing and everything, and then of course Seattle's got the Space Needle, the UFO. So
yeah, those might be the only 2 states that even like come up in like even to this day, modern searching for anything like big having to do with aliens. You got Area 51 and the Space Needle.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I found when I did research, because I saw a UFO back in 2015, and then I did research in Wisconsin. What was funny when I did the research, in New Mexico came up as the #1 state for UFO sightings, but Wisconsin was actually ranked #2. So I thought that was really crazy when the way they ranked that, and then I saw that UFO, and then I found like there was like a bunch of stuff that looks like that. So that's an episode I want to get into one of these days too, down the line.
I can't wait, dude. I'm a Star
I really want to talk about what this is, because I mean I've seen like ghost and paranormal stuff, and I've seen and dealt with the paranormals and ghosts and spirits and whatever this stuff is, and I've seen a UFO, and I can't say I've seen Bigfoot, but I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I can't say I haven't seen other things too and they don't exist. So I don't know what we are and what this is. So that's going to be a big episode.
Maybe we can have like an excursion episode where, like, maybe it's like we meet up from Portland and Tacoma, and we scour because he's supposed to be up in here. He's somewhere between us, or you know what I mean. We go out there and like get our camera gear and find that motherfucker.
Yeah. Washington's the #1 state for Bigfoot. I mean, I can't say, like I said, I've seen it, but it's the #1 state for it. And I've been in all the states. I've been all the states out west. I mean, and I've been to the highest point, highest mountain in California, Mount Whitney. I've been to the top of Mount Evans, Pikes Peak there, 14,000 feet. I've been to Mount Rainier. Like, I've been out places. I just, I haven't seen it yet, but like I said, maybe it is some kind of ghost UFO, interdimensional, intergalactical thing. I don't know. I don't know what we are, what this is. So
maybe when Rainier finally blows, it'll force all the big feet out of their territory, and we'll finally get to see them. It'll just be like, oh, get out of here.
Yeah, all the mountain lions
throwing us aside as shit, we found them, but
yeah.
I totally forgot Space Needle's a 44-55 as well.
Yep.
Interesting enough.
It's like that 44 Wisconsin connection. It's all disconnected.
So, you know what? What's the Foo? I remember the Foo Fighters having interesting. Oh, well, what do you know? Foo Fighters 65 too. Wow.
Yep.
Interesting enough. Where did I just? Did I get rid of? I just saw. I'll let it go. Anyway. Wow. And then, of course, interesting, out of Seattle, Foo Fighters, which I believe were they Vietnam? No, they're Japanese, right? Japanese suicide bombers, which is what actual Foo Fighters are. I guess those are worth. Probably can't type suicide without it. No, not suicide. Were they suicide bombers? Or no? No, they were the ones like fighting. They were the Allied, right? Yeah,
I can't remember. I looked up what they are too. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was World War II though. Okay, yeah, they're Allied. Which, yeah. Do they use an airplane on one of their, or am I thinking of another band?
That's what's funny too. That those two albums, they come out on the Marine Corps birthday, and then the birthday of the country too. So it's just the way these albums, like I said, the dates they come out and when they're released, the years between them, 19 years between them, and all the symbolism.
Interestingly enough, too, Foo Fighters is not okay. It's not anything I was thinking it was. I just had like this cursory idea of what a Foo Fighter was. That we're all wrong, but apparently it has to do with UFOs, bro. Interestingly enough.
Yeah, it's just such a goofy name. It's a goofy, Foo Fighters. They're so goofy. It's like, what's the point of all this? What is all this? That you got to ask yourself. It's like people don't see the mocking.
Interesting. Reported in 1944, huh? What a year. Cool. Well, you learn something new every time you start looking this crap up.
Yeah, you really do. Like I said, it never goes away. It's everywhere.
Wow. Very, very interesting.
Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised any day if we get some big announcement out here from Seattle or who knows, Bill Gates or something crazy, or I don't know. It's just it is weird right now. It's a very strange time, I have to admit.
What I think is very, it's pretty funny is you have the age of like conspiracy, and that like I grew up with that in the like, late '80s, and well, I wasn't alive in the late '80s, but like that's when it was like really, really blooming because of technology. You could fax some your friend some information. No, but like once phones and stuff like that, technology got a little bit better. Of course, obviously the age of the internet and computers, really conspiracy, quote unquote, became a huge, thing. All these people that had all these things to say for their whole life and couldn't tell anybody but the gas station attendant and their neighbors, finally could tell the rest of the world what they had to say. Um, and you fast forward that to what, a couple of years ago, or a few years ago, and CIA, just FBI openly admit, yeah, we got UFOs, we got aliens, we got all that stuff, and it's supposed to be official, and it was just crickets. It's just, yeah, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
Taco Bell has got a new freeze out too, so like whatever.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy where people's minds are right now. It's like it's crazy where just like the way people just like what it was like talking with a person 20, 25 years ago to what people are today. It's just unbelievable what they've done to people's minds.
Short-term memories have definitely been affected, and you know we're talking a lot about music, and we've opened every episode up with music, and I think that is a major, major, major part is tones and imagery. Those are the two things that they program monkeys with those things. That's all they need to program a monkey to be a whole nother being than what it is naturally programmed to be. So what and then they like to tell us we're monkeys. Not that I ever believe that, but it doesn't mean we don't have similar, you know, it's why the makeup industry tests on rats. It's not because you're a rat. It's just because it's comparison, they using comparative like tests to whatever say that we can take this much poison and not be affected, hopefully. Not that they give a crap. It's all a long-term game. Makeup, heavy makeup wearers, just wait 20 years. Hair dyers, just wait 15 years. It's all out there. Certain things that every major trend is literally just something to screw you up 2 decades from now or sooner. Usually 2 decades at least out, because of by the time you want justice for whatever happened, and I'm talking about like crap, but there's bigger deals, like bigger conspiracies, like last week we talked about 9/11. By the time you want any justice for it, and look at all the things that have come out since then, but is anyone holding who like Donald Rumsfeld accountable? Is anybody holding like Dick Cheney accountable? Is anybody holding George Bush accountable? Is anybody going for these people? Anyone going for the head of like NSA, CIA, or FBI from back then? Hell no. That was 30 years ago. What are you coming? I don't care. We got other shit to deal with now. It's just like, oh, okay. Oh well, just drop it then.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like I said, I don't know, maybe reincarnation's real. I don't know what we are, but it's just crazy the way people just forget, it's United States of amnesia, the USA, and people just it's just just the way they can change people in a split second. I mean, look how people were normal before 2020 and COVID, and then all of a sudden they hit them with that, and it's like now they're just this hooded mask person that's just taped off from society. That was a normal person. That could have been your neighbor. That could have been the guy just across the street. And all of a sudden, boom, they're out of here. They're covered up, never talk to nobody again, face diaper on, just they're out of here. They're just in another world. It's like, it's just a part of me that just, you know, curses and magic and spells and, frequencies, energies, vibrations, so you got frequencies, energies, vibrations, you got, you know, curses and magic and spells. So what are we living in? What is this? Why are we talking about this, and then all these other people aren't talking about it or don't care about it? Like, what makes us us? Like, that's the questions I have about all this. Like, it is amazing, these people can just, the shooting, it's like, oh, there's a shooting, and all of a sudden everyone forgets about it, then all of a sudden everything goes back to normal. Oh, now they're shooting, and now everyone's focused on that. And it's just the way they keep getting scammed. They can't learn. I mean, they can't the way they can't catch on. It's just, it's no different than, like I said, how people can't notice patterns. They don't notice all the people dying on April 5th. They don't notice all the 4.554s. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, how can you not see it?
And, that's why on my, let's just call it journey, let's just start using all the crap words that everybody uses, because I don't know. I don't have the time to think about better synonyms, really, just to not sound like a dork. But really, it started with just, I was sitting in my garage and came upon a Zach video, which I'm talking about Gematria Effect News. I'll try to leave a like a pinned comment or something in the description. I usually do for his channel, but highly recommend that for its potent, for how potent it is. Hopefully you catch him on a good episode. If it's a sports one, maybe just hold out. He does, pretty much daily streams. But yeah, I was sitting out in my garage, and it wasn't anything like majorly profound. I can't remember what he was talking about. Let's see, it would have been, I think it was probably something election related. But I kind of like, I'm not too big on like, I mean, I want to be. I haven't personally, like, what I notice, like, spiritually or like manifest type of stuff, is that it's in me. I don't notice it very much outwardly, but we can get into that on a bigger episode about it. But my point being is, I had, a real moment where I was like, I didn't close my eyes or anything. My eyes were wide open and I was listening to Zach, but it was just like through what he was saying, my subconscious like woke up. I don't know how else to put it. I had a small dream with my eyes wide open that, I was going back in things I've seen since I was a kid that I didn't know my subconscious remembered. And like, images and certain things that I was just like, all the synapses were just firing off and saying, you do know about this. You just forgot. You're just not, it's not at the top of of your brain. But here it is. And when that happened, I was just like, man, because I was already I've always been not of the status quo, like always. And you hear that a lot, and it's become a trope. But I think that actually might be, if we were to start to index like the personality like the personalities of people that, let's, for lack of a better term, wake up, I think it is kind of almost required, because you look at what happens trying to convince somebody to wake up, it's nigh on impossible. But if you already have this particular, let's say, gene or whatever, and you're already doing something by yourself and on your own, I think you're a lot more susceptible to to waking up. But so the fact that I was already, didn't trust government, I mean, I knew half the stuff that was coming in my face, coming in my ears was garbage. Zach talks about it all the time, but sports wise, I was still a sports guy because I was young and I was into sports. I played all the sports I watched. So, but I lived through the Blazers blowing their lead and against Kobe, Showtime, Lakers, Kobe and Shaq, slam dunk up 20 points in the fourth quarter. All we got to do is win. And it's just, how do you blow that? Zach talks about it all the time. But, I saw the BS in sports, having played them. I was young at the time, but Zach puts it perfectly. It's just like nobody would do that. Not even little Pop Warner teams are going out and doing this crap. Why would professionally $1 million people? So it was a combination of sports, music that I was already, not believing in, and then just hearing a synopsis, a succinct like synopsis on what it is. He puts it into a perspective that's easy to, latch onto if you're already looking for something. And this is a multifaceted thing. Zach does cover what I consider a large portion of the narrative. The gematria is huge. It is huge. Once you go down it, you realize it's huge. It's old. It's huge. But there are other things, and it takes a certain level of discernment and everything like that. But kind of going off here, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way as you, and I found, like I said, I found Zach in 2014. It was like I think it was probably about May, I think, like 2014 after my birthday, somewhere around that
May
time.
4th.
Yeah, somewhere like right after my birthday, after my 19th birthday, I found him there in 2014. It was, and then that's, like when I found him, it was like, I can't remember if it was, because I was doing a lot of research at that time. I can't remember if I typed in, gematria, what is gematria? If I typed in, gematria, the killing him, it was because it might have been because of Slipknot, because I did research that too, like the name and stuff. And then I don't know if that's how it popped up or what I pressed, but that's how I found Zach, whether it was gematria, the killing name, because I already knew about that in 2008, but all these years passed. I didn't know what gematria was. I didn't even know how to say the word. I was like, what is this? And then, because I always knew there was something to dates and numbers and all this too. Like I said, I was the same way. I always knew, the world was bullshit, didn't like the government, the world was a lie. And, I seen right through all the sports, how, fake and stupid they were. I could, I remember watching, like the 2002 Daytona 500 and just like what a clown show of a race that turned out to be and stuff. And just like, I got mad as a kid watching. I'm like, this is just stupid. I'm like, this is just dumb. It's like, and I get to see right through all the stuff. And it was just, and like when I found Zach, it's like I found someone that, connects the same level. Cause like I found Zach and it's like, well, he talks just like I do. He's saying all the same things I do. Like this guy really gets it. Zach really gets it. He understands it, and like you said, like we cover everything over here. We talk about everything, every way of seeing it. Pretty much there's nothing we don't talk about. There's nothing we don't cover. So it's like like I always knew, like, man, like this guy, like my brother. It's like, what is this guy? What's this connection we have here? It's like I always knew like there was something there. And it's like, all these years later, and it's just amazing. It's like, I seen through the sports, I seen through the government, I seen through school, I seen through the world, and just I knew it. And I did all this research and I found all this stuff and I looked into so many things. And then it's just, here we are today and how all this came to be. It's just it's really crazy how it all just comes together, I guess.
Yeah, life is funny, that's for sure. Uh, well, hot on the press as of late is, currently flooding, and just do a little quick transition here to the second topic, if you don't mind. But hot on the presses right now is obviously all the hurricanes, and of course it's hurricane season. It's like what a thing to be used to in this age, a season of hurricanes. We've been admitting to weather warfare and weather manipulation for a long time. But, we still have seasons of hurricanes. No one's working on that. We need a new iPhone. We need a different iPhone so we can get hurricane updates. We don't need to stop the hurricanes. We need iPhones that can tell us where the hurricanes and what they're doing, and seeing some people die down or, swept away. That's what I want for my future and for my family's future. I don't want hurricanes to not be a threat anymore. And I'm not even saying hurricanes might not even be, unnecessary, but I guarantee you there's, you know, I guarantee that they are not natural. Not saying that they can't be natural, but what we are given is, there's no coincidence from my research and seeing what Zach does on these hurricanes, predicting them. Meteorologists can't tell you when it's going to, how many days I've had my snow days canceled as a kid. Meteorologists don't know shit from shit. So, but Zach over here is predicting hurricanes every freaking year, and based off this funny little code. But I don't know if you wanted to have like a little lead in for, because we want to have a discussion about, weather control, weather manipulation, and, you know, with it being at the kind of the forefront of the news cycle right around now.
Yeah, because and lately out here too, they're saying that this is going to be a cold, wet winter. What I've been hearing out here, cold and wet. So I'm guessing when it's not raining, it's going to be pretty chilly and stuff. And just talking about other experiences I've had, where I've lived in Seattle there, and I, not long after I moved to Seattle in 2017, and then February of 2019, we had the biggest snowstorm in like 100 years. And how that, I remember going through that and how, bad that was. And then, and I was in Wyoming there in 2021, where there was the biggest snowstorm ever. I think it was in March. It's the biggest snowstorm in over 100 years as well. I mean, there was 4-foot drifts. I mean, snow was, you couldn't, it was up to my neck. I mean, you couldn't even go anywhere. I mean, there was drifts over my head. I mean, how bad that was. I couldn't get out of my house for 4 days. I mean, all I could do was play video games because I was stuck inside. So I was playing the PS2 and walking out to my car and unburying myself and making a little trench. I go out to my car, I just smoke weed, and then I go back in and play video games because I can't do nothing else. I can't go nowhere. I can't do nothing. I don't have a life. So, I'm boxed in. So what else can I do? So, yeah, the way they can, like I said, these worst storms in 100 years. The first year I was born in Wisconsin, I was born April 95. My first winter was the coldest winter on record. In February of 1996, it got to minus 55 actual air temperature. So minus 55 actual air temperature. So you're looking at like 60, 70 below probably with the windshield. I mean, this was my first winter on record. So it's like how bad they can make the weather, whether it's just making it cold, making it snowy, making it a storm, making a twister, a hurricane. And in this hurricane Helene, the worst hurricane in over 100 years too, and then we got another one that's be just as bad. So it's like, and it all goes back to what I was saying with Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab equals 120, and 69, Illuminati 120, 69, and Schwab equals 56, hurricane equals 56, twisters 56, and
his name.
you know all of this is no coincidence. And you think, well, what he said, you're going to own nothing and be happy. You're going to own nothing and be happy. And then you got Klaus Schwab, this guy nobody knows. Everybody knows Donald Trump, but everyone's, distracted by the orange clown. They're not looking at the weather warfare. They're not looking at the, the terrorist attack, if you will, on, Florida right now. And, like we had Beryl that went through up Texas and did tons of damage earlier this year. Hurricane that's not even in hurricane season. And of course, weather control equals 201. This year we had twisters come out on the 201st day of the year, more twisters this year than any other year. And the fact that we had, more twisters and that comes out this year. The original came out in 96 when I was 1. It's funny, like how we had the coldest winter ever, and then that movie comes out, right after that. And then, the two main people in that movie, Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, they both equal 44. Kill equals 44, and Bill Paxton's dead, so he's not even with us anymore. He died in 2017. So, just the way they're mocking you and they're showing you at the same time, people aren't catching on. They're not seeing it. They're not pointing it out. And just what Klaus Schwab saying, you're going nothing to be happy. This is exactly 100% the way I see it going, because no one's paying attention to this stuff. They're not seeing it. And they're telling you, like, I don't know what to expect out here for this one. They're saying it's going to be cold, and, who knows and who knows if we're going to get, a big earthquake out here too, or what, or Mount Rainier or something. So, there's so many ways they can just dismantle this country just with, using either the weather or using some natural disaster, just any way they want to cripple you and just take, rights away. And then, for people to, obviously, like what's going on now in Florida and, these other places where these hurricanes are just going up the country and just destroying it in these waves and the damages they're doing. All these people, think about these people, they have nowhere to go. Where are they going to go? They're trying to flee. A lot of them, the homeless, they got wiped out and killed. They got, swamped in this. And then you have all these storms, that just keep coming through. And, who knows? I mean, they can just keep this going as long as they want. Remember, they're going to have 100% control of the world in 2025. 100% control 2025. They talk about lockdown 2025. So, this is, and like I said, everyone's distracted with, the highest degree of the Satanic Church right now, the highest degree of the Satanic Church, mega. You have this, bullshit selection going on right now that's diverting everybody's attention. So people are all caught up in these, these clowns and everything else. They're not taking a look at the weather warfare. They're not calling it out for what it is. And, some people might know that it is, but think about how many people are being affected by this. I mean, the numbers are just through the roof. And like I said, these people are never going to make it. You won't be able to have insurance. You won't be able to have anything. You won't be able to sustain. And then these people are just going to live on the run. And, and like I said, you can't have poverty and homelessness up in the north because it's too cold. Then they take out, strategically the south. So yeah, there's going to be nowhere to go for a lot of people. They're going to have, everyone's going to be kind of sandwiching towards the middle of the, and they might just hit you with the new Madrid. They might
Which is
just hit
funny.
with the new Madrid when you're all flooding to the middle. So,
Which is funny because that's like Tornado Alley, and you got Twisters. That's an interesting parallel. You have all these people, these potentially displaced people moving to the further into the middle of the country where Kansas and what's over there, like Iowa. I don't know how they talk, but places like that are significant more tornado activity, and you got a movie like Twisters coming out. It's like, who asked for Twisters? Who asked for an action-packed romp? It wasn't. That's not what it's about. It was supposed to be like fearful of weather, which probably worth a rewatch because I've seen that movie like 8 times because it was like one of the movies that played for free on like basic cable back when basic cable was like new. And so I've seen Twister a bunch, and I can pretty much remember it in my head. And I think that they were saying a lot in that movie, just showing you like did it come out in the 90s? Yeah, it came out in the 90s, and they were showing you things that were like very, sophisticated for the time. It's like, who the hell thought that, during a tornado you would shoot up or you would like purposely go and try to plant reading, like computers, basically computers that you want to go orb like computers that you want to get sucked up so that you can read the data as they're being whipped through a tornado. Like, I'm not saying that that's real. It might be a fancified version or romanticized version of what it really happens, but it kind of makes you think that it's like behind the veil of what they're trying to say is that these people are government contracts. Like, that the reason they're doing that is to test the efficacy of their weather control. Like, how good was our tornado? Like, what's our tornado doing? We whipped this thing up. How's it doing?
Yeah, and these, and I noticed too when I was living in Wisconsin before I moved to Seattle there in 2017. There was one day there was like 10 or 20 twisters outside that just came up out of nowhere, and it's like, I know this stuff is weather warfare. I pointed out, I told people back then, and that it these things are being controlled, and people want to laugh at it, and oh, they can't control the weather. That's just, you must be smoking too much weed now, Austin. You got to be too high. I mean, control the weather. I mean, come on. It's like, well, now you see what you're going to have to do with it because people want to be ignorant stuff, and now you have to deal with the consequences. But this is the biggest thing, like I've talked about. This is the way I just see it going because it's just so in your face, and if you're not going to address it and point it out, then it is just going to get out of control. It is going to get worse. That's exactly what we've had. It's been that way in my life, and now you're just getting all this ridiculous stuff, and people just want to make it out to be to some, coincidence. It's no coincidence. In 2020 they called it COVID. It's kind of like Cobain, right? You got the co in there, and then the eye, right? The eye, like the all-seeing eye. You see the way they mock you, like people don't catch on to these little, things. The way they continuously mock you with all this stuff, and the biggest thing, for me, it's like, you know by 2030, I mean, how bad, are these storms going to get? What is the country even going to look like by then with the way things are going? I mean, that's just like where I'm at with it because, I mean, the people of Florida, well, there's a lot of people that live in Florida. I mean, that's a big state. There's a lot of people that live there. There's a lot of people that live in the South because it is, it's warm. It's, there's a lot of people where they like to live. So, now all these people are getting screwed, just like all the people, in Texas when Beryl came through and other areas. So, all these people, it's just like, what are they going to do? How this disrupts the whole country right now. So there definitely is mass chaos right now. And, with these storms, each one that keeps coming, Hurricane Kirk, whatever is going to come out of that. Um, all these hurricanes, they just keep spooling up like Hurricane Hillary. on Bill Clinton's birthday. I mean,
Yeah.
that just shows you
No,
right there. It's mockery in your face, and they are doing it. I mean, come on. What are the chances of that? I mean, really?
it can't. That's the thing. What people need to like think of is like certain things just to not be to stay in the realm of coincidence. It just can't happen. There's the odds are too great. Every other day is okay. You know, even if it was a day from it, if it was the day after or the day before his birthday, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But it's like, that's crazy. But I could see how, no, I could still have, some doubts, even though me personally, I'd be like, damn, it was only a day before his birthday or it was the day after his birthday. Hillary whipped up. The average person would be like, yeah, but it's like, but literally the day you're going to tell me. And it's like, I'm not, that it's that degree of separation. People can't they either can't believe that people can even control it because they refuse to do any kind of research for themselves, or they don't understand like manipulation of news and data. That is all you have. That is all that, regardless of the logistics of the actual act, what comes out in the news is never the true story. That's never, you're always getting a version of it. So why would you expect the real thing the first time, like from any news source, if that's what you're looking looking for information from? They're never telling you the right thing the first time. And I'm not just saying that because I distrust them. I'm saying because that is they can't notice patterns. When is the number of the death toll ever correct first? Never. It's always different. Certain things like that, the shooter, even, a lot of times this was the shooter. Oh no, it's actually this whole ass other guy. So we were wrong for like a week. Sorry about that. But we changed it now. So believe us and move forward with us and just take everything we say at face value from here on out. We're definitely right now. Even though they told you they were definitely right the first time, like that's their modus operandi from the beginning. So the fact that people are still willing to trust the first thing they say, that's a problem. These people, it's a program. They know the exact words to hit that emotional button in people's brains, that psychological button. It's psychological warfare on top of everything. People just don't have the wherewithal to know it, really.
Yeah, and it's, like you said, they can't see the pattern. They can't see, people don't catch on to patterns at all. I mean, people couldn't see, a team in sports wins, all these teams just end up with like 7 championships. You think that's, why 7? Why did this person win 7 in a row? It's like, why are we all getting these hurricanes, these twisters, these storms that are the worst in like 100 years? Like, why does this just keep happening? I mean, and then people want to, everyone has an excuse to it too. That's the frustrating thing, because, and people want to bring in politics. Like I said, they want to bring in, oh well, look at the way Joe Biden's handling it. Like they want to like pin it on like Joe Biden or something. Like, oh, you see the way they're how they're not helping out, and it's Joe Biden's fault, and what they're doing with FEMA, and they don't want to, understand that, hey, it's all part of the depopulation. These people never gave a fuck about you. It's the government. The government never gave a fuck about you. You know what I mean? Like they're never there for you. And if you would have learned, the 56 signers on that Declaration of Independence, you'd know that. But it's like, this is the most frustrating topic, I think, because it does involve so much. It sucks, because like, even for people like us, it's like, you got to listen to all the people, oh, well, the West Coast, Seattle's just going to get destroyed. And it's like, I don't know. Is it not? You're telling me it is. That's all you've ever told me. It's going down. It's going to be destroyed, Seattle 44, kill 44, space, 44. So it's like, I'm seeing all this death in 4 or 5 and all this bad stuff. But is that like, is that too obvious? Is that not what they're going to do? Are they going to go that route? Are they not? And it's just like, Yellowstone, is that, are they going to blow that up? And you got Bill Gates in Wyoming. So, like I said, all this natural disaster. And then, the big thing, like I said, depopulation, you look at the depopulation maps. What do they show? They show major depopulation declines around, 2025 in the mid 2020s. why are all these, graphs showing depopulation around, mid-20s, 2025, when, you get these, lockdown 2025, and they're going to have 100% control by 2025. And there's all this stuff. There's all these distractions right now. And, people, and they just have people it's amazing. They have people, stuck in every direction, pointing the finger and not looking at what's really going on. And, this is what is, the biggest thing that's got to change, because people just got to see that there is no, like I said, there's no such difference between, United States and America, and South America and China and Russia. No, it's all the same thing. Kurt Cobain, 9/11, COVID is all the same thing. It's all connected. I mean, they got to know. And if people just knew, if they just looked into HARP, they looked into CERN, they looked into this stuff, Doppler, Doppler, they want to say, oh, they're showing the storm. No, that's them making the storm. Doppler is them making the storm. I mean, that's not them showing you it. They're literally making it. I mean, that's what they're showing you. Chemtrails, the cloud seeding, so many other ways they do it. They spray the ocean with ships. They use ships to spray the ocean. And, and it's like I said, they're not just killing off, people, they're killing off everyone and everything. They're killing off, all the wildlife, and, they're killing off just everything. So it's not
Check out the
just famous
father.
people. It's not just Kurt Cobain and, Kobe and COVID and all these, mockery stuff. No, it's not even just, the average Joe that took the COVID shot and they're out of here because someone told them to do it or whatever. But no, they're killing off the animals. They're killing off nature. They're destroying the planet. We got to cut down all these trees because the kids need that, homework, right? And all the papers. So, they'll come up with an excuse to cut down the forest. So it's like, yeah, they don't care about the planet. And, with each one of these storms, and they say they're, mining for, lithium and stuff for, all the, the technology and stuff. And, there's so many conspiracies going on right now with all this, and there's so many things that tie in with all this. So it's like, people don't see the agenda right now at hand. And, we're kind of coming to a point where I do believe, this month, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's my half birthday this month. My half birthday is on the 29th. So maybe that means something, but I do believe we're getting to this point where people are really going to have to, figure this out one way or another, or it's going to be too late for them.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of like poignant things there, and I don't know if you've done some further research on this, but like, this is you're proving your point in spades. Pattern recognition. Whether you know about the current topics at hand, talking about Helene, you're mentioning things that are, what do you know, top of the news cycle, the destruction of the wildlife. Have you seen this? That one of the biggest things to happen. Okay, so these people, first of all, they're still the water has still not receded in several parts of them. The roads are still destroyed. You can't really go in and out. But, but all that's happening, it's like, oh, finally some relief. And then it's just like, zzz. You hear something, Curtis? What is that? I don't know, Jethro. Zzz. It's getting louder. What is that? What's blocking out the sun? Swarms of yellow jackets that have been uprooted from the floods are now swarming these towns in North Carolina, in Asheville. So you look at this and it's just like there's no way that, for all I know, someone can sit. This is one of those like hills have eyes towns, and God was taking care of it, because that's what I'm seeing. I'm like, why would they deserve what just happened on top of then a swarm of bees? Like, what kind of cartoonish thing is that? It's, to me, I'm laughing out of like my own head. It's not like the thing itself. It's not very funny at all. But like, that's insane. But it also goes into the ideas like, how much have bees been like put into our mid subconscious throughout the last couple of years? Bees this, bees that. Oh, we're losing the bees. The bees are the pollinators. Not to say yellow jackets are that big of a pollinator, but still, it's something that that plays into it. An interesting thing about this whole thing in North Carolina too is Fun fact. Let's see. It's the Biltmore. Yeah. Have you or Biltmore? Have you heard of the Biltmore estate?
I'm not sure if I've heard about this.
This is the largest house estate in the United States. The largest single estate in the United States. It's only on 40 acres. It's not the most by a plot of land, but the actual building itself is the largest. And it's right there in Asheville, North Carolina, the hardest hit thing. You want to know how much of this building got hit by this hurricane?
None of it?
Absolutely none of it. The grounds got hit. The grounds, some of the 40 acres got hit. You should see. I in my research, I don't know. I should have saved it. This was all today. All these tabs were today. I should have saved these tabs and saved some screenshots. I was just lazy with it this week. But this guy's taking an interview, which this is a multi-layered thing. I'll start with the interview. It's about obviously post flooding, and even though it's going on right now. And this guy who's a representative for the estate, he's talking as if it's it's catastrophic, because like their easternmost garden is destroyed and they lost some livestock and the classic vineyard is good. Who knows if that'll ever be repaired, acting like, it's the end of the world for this estate that literally not a single ounce of water hit the actual estate itself. Meanwhile, people outside of this, you think this is going to house any of the displaced people? You think the largest estate that happens to be in their town is going to house any of their displaced people? Nope.
Right.
And he's acting like it's a tragedy for him. Secondly, who the hell is sent to interview the Biltmore estate or Biltmore estate? What news agency would say, yeah, we need to talk to these people? There's people are barely being let in to give these people water, but we need to see if this guy's okay. We need to see if the big house is okay. It's so weird to me. It's like, why would there be an interview at this time? It's just a multifaceted issue, but it's just, what do you know? What do you know? It's like, I'm almost more surprised that, its place didn't get destroyed. That might have been more on par with, how the government does things. But the fact remains, for all I know, this is, we can get into conspiracy and all that stuff, but it's just one of those things. It's just, this is where it's like the separation happens. It's like, you can't, if this happens in Asheville also can't be the home of the largest estate in the whole country, and the estate can't be touched or it isn't touched. That can't happen. If this estate got messed up, then we're talking like, wow, nobody would even, but for conspiratorial eyes, this cannot happen, in my opinion. This place should have got effed up. The fact that it didn't, it should be a huge red flag. There's no way, in my opinion. So
yeah, I mean, it's just like with Paradise. I mean, with the Paradise fires, how the house burnt down, but the grass, the trees, everything else was still there, but the houses were destroyed. Like how they pinpointed, just to get, just make sure you hit the house and make sure the grass, trees, the yard, that's all fine. There's no fire, nothing there. That's all intact, but the house is just destroyed, just melted down. So it's like the same thing, like how they, can aim these weapons and, how they can, hit certain targets, how they can leave certain things completely alone and fine, and they're going to survive. And yeah, it just shows you how fake all this stuff is, and that how, and just the way they're going about everything. Like I said, and then like I said, they're trying to, all the people right now that are, in trouble because of this, and then they're trying to, they're trying to have all these people to blame, and then they're trying to blame, and you bring politics in this, and they bring, they just draw this up to be, all this, just garbage. People don't understand that it's all a show. This is all happening because of the same people that do all these rituals. It's the same thing. And if people understood, this type of, and this is another example. It's like, it's just like when China said they were gonna, use the weather, for the Winter Olympics to, make it snow and
Mhm.
stuff. I mean, it's no different. I mean, just the way it's how manipulated everything is, and it's just amazing, how and the people that, right now, the people that are involved in this, they should be researching all this. They should be figuring this out because, I mean, how many times, people in Florida, how much of this are you going to take? I mean, you're just going to keep taking, hit after hit. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it really makes you feel, because it's like, as rare as people can seem, like it seems like, people in the know are actually, rare. With a large population being hit by these things, it's actually saddening, because how many people feel, completely like lost. They're separating from the mainstream as they should. They're breaking away from these things, and then something like this happens. And if they were to try to, at whatever shelter they might have up right now because their house got swept away and all this crap, if they tried to tell somebody who was also in that predicament, this goes back to, psychology and like the shadows on the wall theory, they would reject them. you know Even in a state like this, you go and talk, you pit two affected people, and one of those affected people would, try to say, look, man, this is not natural. We need to look into this. We need to rise against this. We need to demand more of our government. We need to demand less government. We need to demand this be fixed. you know More likely than not, you're going to have people so enwrapped in their own affairs and their own things, maybe rightfully so, but they'll refuse to get on the same page about it. And I feel that kind of person. Like, what a sad, they don't know there's people like us out there. Maybe they don't have a community, and it is hard. And I think about things when I think about that, when these things like happen, is like, there's people who know that people are doing this to them, and they can't do jack shit about it. It's actually like wild, which is why everybody who has an inkling and has a knowledge of this needs to get on board with something, and other people somewhere, they need to make numbers larger. We all need to figure this shit out, so that we can make a fuss to the right people, at the right times, do things, to to bring about some sort of change. At this point, it doesn't seem like it could be a peaceful solution, but obviously that's the goal. But you know, at the same time, something has to change. If we keep going along and are just keep funneled into the wood chipper slowly, we're all dead. We're all chipped up. We're all mulch for their repurposing of the land.
Yeah, and that you're 100% right. And we, like I said, we were just down there in Portland, and this is, what I just kept talking about over and over was, the weather control, and how important this is, the biggest thing, and it's what people got to understand and look into. I mean, because like I said, it doesn't, think about how many people are right now, from Florida going to come up to Washington because it's on the opposite side of, the country. So that's, there's so many people being involved in that. Well, they're on their way up here. So there's got to be a person or two going to Washington because there's millions of people down there. One or two is coming up here. So, wherever else the rest are going to go. And it's the same thing with like Houston, Texas. Like Houston, we have a problem. Houston, Texas. And they just keep, drilling Houston. They just keep hitting Houston. Another strategic area, down there by Mexico, just some of the most populated states, most populated places, that are warm. You live down, that are close to the equator. I mean, this is strategic attacks. And, and then, like I said, all these people right now, they have nowhere to go. I mean, how many, and then just every SWAT that comes in, every wave that comes in, any homeless that are left, well, they're definitely getting taken out now. Anyone else that's stuck behind or trying to figure the way out of that, well, they're gone now. They just wham, wham, just keep wailing on you. And, this is why people have to, it just like, when I was a kid, the sky was, still pretty much blue. The sun was yellow. You know, things, you know, you see, I would watch a chemtrail go by. I'd watch a plane, you know, spray the sky, and I'd look at it. I know something was wrong. I know something didn't look right. I'm just like, what is that? This is, you know, and it was like just one and that'd be it. But now what do you got? You got the tic-tac-toe, you got the checkerboards, you know, it's, you know, I look at, like I said,
Like they're playing Hangman and shit.
yeah, I mean, you know, look at 2017, like I said, Operation Solar Shield, you know, by Harvard, blocking out the sun. I mean, look at what they're doing. I mean, this is the biggest thing because, you know, people, like I said, they have people more distracted right now than ever. People, you know, don't care more than now than ever. And like I said, you know, I see, you know, everyone getting, and it's perfect timing for all this because you got, you know, like I said, the, you know, the scam selection and all the, you know, stupid stuff with that and everything else to draw people away from the weather control right now. So that's how they know they can get you right now as well, because you're not going to be, you know, paying attention to it because you got to watch, you know, the Packers or the Seahawks or, you know, either Trump's going to give a speech pretty soon. I got to pay attention to that, you know, or, I got to, you know, get ready to go cast my vote here, you know. So people are, you know, they don't have their mind where it needs to be right now. And that's why they're not looking at this and, you know, they're just taking full advantage. You know, it's just like when it's, you know, it's gray and it's, you know, it's cloudy and you can't see the sun. Well, you know, they're probably spraying over the top of that. I mean, they spray the ocean.
You
So
hear them on cloudy days. That's when I hear like the most airplanes.
yeah,
When you
they're
can't
just,
even see past the overcast, is you just hear airplanes going over all day long.
yeah, just taking full advantage. I mean, I watch them, you know, I was outside painting this week, painting the fence over there. And then, you know, all of a sudden I was outside, it was sunny, it was nice. And I look out, you know, all of a sudden I look up like 5-10 minutes later and here comes all this clouds and darkness and gray. And I'm like, what is this? What is going on? Where is this coming from? And it's just like how it just, they can move weather fronts in just moments, just minutes, you know, set, you know, whether it's spraying or whatever they're doing, you know, setting all this up. And you know, I've watched them do it my whole life, just bring things in. But you know, I've seen over my life how much control they've got of this stuff, how you know bad it's getting. And you know, this is like I said, what people always have to, you know, I mean, how can you not remember what life used to be like, you know, back in the '90s, early 2000s, you know, and now you got to look at what it is now. I mean, you know, you can't sit there and say this is the same weather. I mean, it's you know the way you know, the storms even look, the way that the sky looks, you know, the way that this stuff brews up. I mean, it's nothing like it used to be. I mean, you used to watch a jet stream come off the coast from Washington. It would just, you know, travel across the country. It, you know, all just go to the east. Now the jet stream's all messed up and it doesn't even do what it used to do. And, you know, the way the sky looks, you know, and when they're, sometimes it's, you know, the sky is just completely white. People don't even notice it's white. You know, what is all that? What's really going on? You know, it's the sun's out, but it's just white. I mean, they don't even see that. You know,
I
and
don't
then, you
remember
know,
learning about that cloud. I got the cirrus, you got the cumulus, you got the sepitaphs or whatever those are called. But what's when the whole sky is literally fog? And interestingly enough, I have a picture on my phone, but I was working the late shift. Was it 2 nights ago? And where I work, it's like all windows. It's a restaurant. And I just do prep cooking at night, and it's like all windows. And I'm looking outside every once in a while. I turn around just when I'm not like stirring something, looking towards the stove and everything. And I like saw the fog roll in. Definitely not what you want. Like if you're starting a horror movie or like a sci-fi thriller movie that's not good, like that is pretty much the setting where it's like one guy alone, like bumping music in his headphones, not knowing like what's really coming in, and like looks outside, huh? And it's just like the fog rolling in. It was literally like the mist. It was exactly like it. It rolled right on in, and it was as thick as could be. When I went home that night too, it was like you could barely see in front of you. I had the fog lights on and everything, and it was on the highway, and it was you couldn't see more than a car length and a half in front of you. But interestingly enough, we have several hills here in Portland. That's kind of what we're known for. Several buttes, if you will. That's what they call them. And there's one right up from where I work, and that has like one of the main like Doppler weather stations up there. So that's always fun. You always see strange fog rolling off of that butte, and that's where all like the rich people live up there too. It's like Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I watch what they do around here too. Like they'll, what lately. I mean, the weather's been actually pretty nice for this time of year. I mean, it's been like 70 degrees. It's been like sunny. So I mean, it's been pretty nice for. I'm sure the rain here is getting ready to come in here pretty soon and stuff. And I'm just I watched the sky lately. A couple days ago, we had some pretty good rain and stuff. They were pounded down, and I watch them bring this stuff in. I watch them spray it in. And, you know, one day it's completely sunny, it's nice. Next day it's it's just pouring rain. Next day it's nice for the rest of the week. So it's like you just see how they rig the weather for you, and they script it out to what they want it to be. And like they said that it's supposedly going to be cold, wet winter supposedly out here. So, and the last 2 years are pretty decent. So I know this year they got to hammer hard. So I just wonder what they're going to do. If you're going to do a big quake, why not just snow them in and ice the place up so nobody can move or do anything, then blast them with an earthquake. You know what I mean? Like, I always feel like that's, if they want to do a lot of damage out this way, that's what I think they might do. I mean, I know there's, like we rarely ever get twisters in Washington. There's like a couple a year, like a few a year or whatever. But I think there's maybe been like 4 this year I looked up or something. But it's like, how do you get even a twister between mountain ranges? You got to question that between 2 mountain ranges. How is that even possible? These are things people got to question. And like I said, we get the wind out here. I've lived in Wyoming. The wind is terrible. Wisconsin, the wind's terrible. Especially in the winter, it's just brutal. And there's so many ways they can get you. Fog, wind,
Yes.
I mean, it could be just anything. And that's what people got to understand. I mean, they can control all this stuff. So, they got all these distractions, all these people looking at different things. And, next thing you got 10 hurricanes coming at you at once because, nobody was calling the stuff out. And that's unfortunately what we got now. And, for the people, like I said, that, live down there, if you live in Houston or you live in, Florida or any of the southern states, you just got to worry and wonder when it's coming your way. Like I said, there's not going to be anywhere to go. I mean, where do you go? Where do you run to? It's the Illuminati, New World Order. They own it all. They run it all. So what do you do?
Agree completely. And, I think that's where community comes in, whether or not it's, small community is still community, and small militia is still a militia. It's better than, me and my 2 guns against the world. That's not going to end well for me and my family. Whereas, a small militia, that's enough to make people think twice, and you get movies like every once in a while about the small team maybe being a little bit more effective than the big disorganized team, or the rats you can have in your midst. But either way, some sort of sense of community needs to be established. And I think at a local level, in my head, I say, like, it from what I see, I think almost like Seattle, the occupied zones. Like, obviously not destroying everything within it, but like as far as like rural housing goes, just blocking off streets. Be like, nope, no government's coming in here. We got neighborhood watch. We got everything we need. We're good. We're good down here, and just like the streets ours now. Tear down fences. Where are we putting the farms? Where are we putting, the grow beds? Where are we, stuff like that, in my opinion, to really shake it up. Obviously, this is maybe like a few steps down the line of what would need to happen, but that's kind of my like thought for urban living. But the real deal is that, people need to go out and take and retake true farmland and all this unused land, and use it for the betterment of the communities that you are a part of. And it's hard in an age like today. But what I was going to say about what you were saying, where do people go, and what do people do? And it's really sad because we have all this technology at our fingertips to know and to understand what's going on, and yet the average person uses it to scroll up and down TikTok and see what the new viral dance move is, and what their sports team's doing, and oh dang, you think about what's going on in North Carolina right now, and all those states that got hit. Well, Tennessee was another big state that got hit right there along with North Carolina. And it just so happens that Tennessee was like number 4 in the nation college football. And when do they decide to lose to a nobody shit team? Oh, this week, just right after, all the displaced people. It's like, you think about the psychological like game manipulation they do to people. It's just like during this time, it's like, as stupid as it is, and it shouldn't be happening, but people like would probably, get a pep from, at least, because it's like the teams are still playing. It's like, it's another weird phenomena where it's just all like humanity's out the window. It's like part of your state is being absolutely destroyed and people are displaced, but there's tens of thousands of people at a football game watching your state's represented team play the game of football. And it's all over. It's headline, it's a super broadcasted event. It's like, you cannot move those cameras to the left a little bit, a few miles, and see how destroyed it's being, so the people can see that. No, there's nothing like that. But there's really no excuse in today's day and age. And some of the things I've dug up is, some stories about some of the earlier beginnings to this whole cloud seeding, weather control, weather manipulation thing. And, this, you can't blame the older generations for, not taking seriously or believing the things that were in the papers that they scarcely got probably. But in today's day and age, there's really no excuse to not know more than the average person. But you look at some of these old articles and stories about cloud seeding and stuff like that. There's this Charles Hatfield character. He was tasked by the San Diego's governor, because they were in a major drought, this guy, he says he's a rainmaker, and he promised rain to San Diego, and he brought it all right. They had some of the most severe flooding. Story goes, he, was tasked with, and they gave him supposedly a contract to bring rain within a certain amount of time. And he said he signed off on it. The governor signed off on it or whatever. But what ended up happening is they had some of the most severe storm they've had in like a long time. And in a drought, like fast water is not good, because the ground doesn't absorb it. Places like California, that's why they flood. But yeah, it happened in San Diego. But this is, just a one-man science show was able to supposedly create a large storm for San Diego, which, did bring him out of their drought, but he didn't get paid for it. It's pretty funny. He was promised $50 and he caused hundreds of thousands of damage for $50. But you get stories like this. There's like this little, like, what I consider like podunk little, oh, check out the news. Oh, look at this. Hatfield, huh? Ah, yeah, Hatfield. Yeah, stories like that where I thought it was worth, pointing it out, because just really to highlight that it's been in the vernacular. It's been in the circulated thought of America since, very early on. I mean, this was what? Where does it say he did this? Somewhere around the turn of the century, turn of the 1900s. So turn of the century, this stuff was happening. This was rain making production, just a one-man team could do it, which also kind of could veer off into the idea that this is a unlearned process, that ancestors, just like you're not going to find anybody our age today that knows how to dig an outhouse properly. Ask a 30-year-old back in the 1800s, they'd say, "Oh yeah, I did 4 this week." You know, it's just like, and they do them right, and they there's a certain way they got to do them, and they know all those things. The tricks of the trade are gone. I don't doubt that there was a town cloud seeder. From what they're saying, it takes a few basic chemicals and a process, and this could be something our ancestors brought from Germany or Ireland, or for all we know, there was already a native technique that we stole, I guess, if you want to be more politically correct. But you have stories of cloud seeding at the turn of the century. A little earlier than that, a little earlier, or no, around the same time, actually. Maybe a little later even. I give you a semi-scientific story of Charles Hatfield. That leads into the realm of the mystical, where this lady, Lily Stote, claims that her and her brother could control the weather. This was, more of a projection type thing. And these stories aren't really to have aren't opinion based. I'm not like forcing any kind of opinion here. I'm just pointing out that it's in the vernacular of early United States. So this isn't something that should be new. We're going to move on to the bigger and better stuff. But I'm just kind of pointing out that these things were taking place in the early part of when, horse and buggy, back when in the, early 1800s, when we were, building castles that were for mental asylums, apparently. Anyway, that's another story. But this lady known as the Mississippi Rainmaker, she claimed that she basically found out that she was a rainmaker because every time her brother went to go fishing, I think it's pretty funny. Every time her brother went to go fishing, he claimed it would rain. And I right when I read that, I kind of chuckled because it's like, that's such a like dad thing, in my opinion. That's such a like a guy thing where it's like, it's kind of reminds me like the South Park, like, whoa, it's like, I'm so like, whereas it's just like what could be perceived as like bad luck. Like, every time I try to go fishing, it freaking rains, God. But then Lily's sitting here like, no, brother, every time you go fishing, it rains. Don't you see? You making it rain. I can do it too. And that's literally the story if you want to come and read this, but I don't plan on going too far with this, but it is quite funny. But it's another example of a lady. You have Charles, who claims he can make rain. He gets a government contract. This is like a time, this is how archaic we are living, that they're like, okay, yeah, go ahead and cloud seed. Sure. Here's another example where the governor literally takes a contract with a woman who just claims that she can make it rain. This was for what was it, like Arizona? No. Memphis. Okay, she went to Memphis and I guess made it rain. She went to Arkansas, made it rain. But the story, Florida, actually, that's where she was sent out to. She was paid to come out to go out to Florida to, I guess, part of where somewhere in Florida was in a drought. Doesn't really say. It just says somewhere in Florida. But yeah, apparently she went out to Florida and within a week she made it rain, which to me doesn't sound that spectacular. But anyway, it's just another story of, that's just like a little bit more about outlandish side of the story. But just to let you know that government officials were relying on strange tactics to get it to rain in their area. It's just like the taxpayers are like, oh yeah, what's going on? It's just it's a weird thing. And here's something a little bit. Still, this guy was born turn of the century, so it's a little bit later that this comes across. But he's known as like the father of cloud seeding. Maybe if you, as far as patents kind of go, as far as like scientific patents. This guy Vincent Schaefer, and so interestingly enough. Where does it say? I see. I wish I would have gotten some screenshots and stuff like that. I really should have. Long story short, he's a cloud seeder. He did a lot of the experiments that, box experiments, so like small scale, proved that cloud seeding was possible. This is, early 1900s. So this isn't some fanciful idea that no one's had their eye on or the American government hasn't wanted to use or anything like that. This has been going on since some of the early inception of some states. This has been at the forefront of, oh, okay, well, look at the land we have. Look at the drought season. We're going to need more rain. Let's find out how to make more rain. This is like something that's more prevalent than people give it credit for. The idea that they're doing it then and wouldn't be doing it now is mainly what I'm trying to get at here. The idea that this wouldn't have evolved, that this wouldn't have become state secret, that at the time everybody knew about it. They were perfectly fine. These were, open source, headlines in the paper, oh, look, we're finding out new ways to do things. And, just like in the early 90s, oh, look, we cloned a goat, or cloned a lamb. Like certain, how many cloning stories have you heard since the early 90s? That just kind of went away. Do you think they stopped? No, but they give you the stories. Point being, these are big. There's a concerted effort by the American government and governments in general to perfect the weather, to control the weather. And I could give you a little bit more details on this guy. Mainly the long and short of it is he eventually tried to form kind of like one of the earliest forms of like off-grid community living, which is kind of interesting. And that all kind of got shut down and with his death as well. So it was I thought about going and looking more into this because I think there is something there. That's going to be a fun little research project for me later. Point being, there's three kind of like significant people and stories, as one's kind of more in the realm of mystical, but point remains that this has been a concerted effort by America, and it's been in our vernacular. It's not something that is new. This is something everybody should know about a little, enough to not be surprised at what happens in current day.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that, they've admitted to it, since 1952, and it's been around for such a long time, over 70 years. And, it's amazing when you talk to people, because it's like, they'll say like, oh, I can't believe you'd know all this. I can't believe you'd know that. It's like, well, you got a smartphone, right? You can really find stuff out in a minute. I mean, they can research Illuminati and figure that out in, 60 seconds. Adam Weishaupt, May 1st, 1776, for Illuminati. Even you can figure that out. You can look at your money and go, what's this Illuminati pyramid in here? And see if that's the Illuminati. You can look in the all-seeing eye. You could, what's Novus Ordo Seclorum? Boom, New World Order. You can research this stuff in minutes. I mean, which is crazy because, when I was a kid, you couldn't do this. There was no YouTube. There was no internet. You had to go find a book and, hope you could find a book and read a book or something. And, you had to, look for information. It took work. It took effort. You had to go find a library, you got a book, read. Now you can just pull out a phone, you get the internet and look at the stuff in minutes, and just boom, there it is. And then people just still don't know about it, or, and it's like, people don't see, like I said, they don't, they don't even look at the sky. They don't even look up. They don't look around. I mean, people's awareness to stuff, because they're so tuned in their own little world. They don't, care about everything else. It's just, oh, well, it is what it is, and for whatever reason, like I said, whatever excuse, they have not to, look at this stuff or want to look at it, or, and, whatever it is, well, that's where people just got to break out of that. And, that's been the hardest thing, in my time trying to get people to understand this, because, everybody wants to just make you into such a, a retard or a loser. If you talk about weather control, the government controls the weather, they want to make you into this Fruit Loop character. But I mean, I just don't understand. Like I said, when I was a kid, I could look up at a chemtrail and see and just knew something wasn't right. Just knew it didn't look right. I mean, how can other people not look at it, not see it, or not care? And and then you just see what it does. You just see them spray, and then you just watch the sky get worse. You watch them bring in, like I said, I can watch them do stuff in 5-10 minutes, and people won't even look at it. They won't even look up. They won't even see it. And then it's like, like I said, how bad, my first winter was, how cold it was, and that's, and if people want to, oh, well, they might be able to make a storm, but they can't make it that cold. They can't do that. And then they want to say something like that. It's like, well, no, here, they control it. They can do whatever they want. I mean, the weather is whatever they want it to be. I mean, that's just the fact. And, and that's what people have to understand. And, they have to understand that this technology has existed for a long time. It's not new. I mean, over 70 some years since 1952, since they admitted to it. It's been going on before then. So it's like, it's always been going on, and it's just something that it's just got to be so taboo to everybody. It's got to be just so over the edge. And I never understood why. I mean, there's patents, like I said, Stanley Meyer, he wrote his full name, Stanley Allen Meyer, it equals 206. He created the waterless dune buggy, the waterless engine, people want to, and there's, what could have been, and people want to look at that and they want to say, oh, well, no, it's, we need, gas engines, or, we don't have, engines that can run on water. They want to make it sound like it's so crazy. No, it's already been invented. It's already happened. You don't need this $70,000 Tesla and think you're making the world a better place when that's not even the way to go. We could just do everything off water. It's just, the lack of knowledge people have, and, especially with, things like the weather. I mean, the way they mock you. I mean, the hurricanes are undefeated. I mean, you think that's a coincidence? The hurricanes are just kicking ass right now. I mean, they're dominating, but it has nothing to do with these hurricanes that are destroying us right now. That's, that's something else. So, yeah, they got to rub it in, and it's, it's like in the last, like I said, in the last so many years, how many storms that and look at the fires, the fires, and I was in Wyoming. That's just another way they can get you. I mean, they put people through so much damage, and everything they're doing has its an effect. The fires, you're breathing all the smoke, you're breathing all the the pollution, getting cancer and everything from that, and it all goes to depopulation. And then it's just like you watch them steer these storms. They'll steer a storm just so it hits the United States and it misses Mexico and it misses everywhere else because they're attacking the United States. And I try and get people to understand that the United States is under attack, and we're we're the enemy. And this is how they're doing it. And you look at like I said, there's patents to pretty much anything you want to find. I mean, anything you want to look at, there's patents to it. It's been created. It exists. It is in the world. And for people to still not have this information just blows my mind. Just me always being curious how the world works, always wanting to know things and learn things, and having so many questions and spending so many years doing research and figuring things out. And then and some people, they might know about Stanley Meyer in the water, dune buggy, but then they still won't catch on to the the spraying in the sky because they got the TV turned, they're tuned into Donald Trump, or they're tuned into the Packers, or they're tuned into wrestling, NASCAR races on. You got to see it. The 47 car won tonight, bro. It's like the mockery. It's just amazing how they just divert everyone's attention. Today, it's funny. I was bringing up the Seahawks, or the Seattle and the New York connection. Oh, who's Seattle playing today? They're playing New York Jets, aren't they?
Giants.
And I bring up that connection. Yep, bringing up, so it's just like the mockery is just, it couldn't be the mockery is at an all time high. And then you look at Hurricane Kirk. I mean, come on. I mean, and 83, and the Helene 83. The reflection of 38. So yeah, it's all there. People just whatever the hurricane is, whatever they want to call it, it'll make it land, the one we had on 9/11, so whatever they want to hit on whatever day, they just mock you, being attacked on 9/11, whatever it's going to be, barrel that wasn't even a hurricane season. People didn't even catch that. It's like, it's not even hurricane season. Doesn't that look funny? I mean, here it is June and it just wipes out Houston. Houston's always under attack. It's just so in your face. I mean, I can't believe, and like I said, I just feel bad for all the people down there, but as bad as I feel, it's frustrating. People still don't know about this, and we're still having to, prove our points. I mean, we can call when hurricanes are going to happen. You can tell when a hurricane's going to make. It's just, this stuff is so. It's just so over the edge at this point.
Absolutely, and yeah, I think you have our year's kind of like version of the bit of like a big news story, weather related news story, but you talk about things like Maui and what happened there, and you have stories. I have like a little quick short that we can play. The audio should be going through this time, hopefully. But I have a real quick short here, and I'm sure, just to remind the people with chronic amnesia that this has happened, and Hawaii is a state in the United States. It's not a foreign country. That's natural. So, believe it or not, do whatever. But what she said there was the smoke was toxic, and the waves and the embers and the fuel, the burning of the fuel. I'm sorry, I thought this was anyway. So I just thought I took that into consideration. Also, the use of fire tornadoes was a heavy uh, headline with the Maui fires, and this is back when I was still in my little corner of my little hold up with just the knowledge I have, not doing a whole lot of sharing like I should, but obviously following Zach. And when this was going off, I was doing my own research and everything, and I have known about this for quite some time. This is called Operation Gomorrah, and this was a huge red flag when they were talking about fire tornadoes and the winds whipping up, and it was extremely high wind. Obviously, it's a hurricane on top of it being on fire. It's like, so it's not raining, it's raining fire. That seems kind of weird. I guess that's what happens now in hurricanes. Well, that was just like a huge like wait a minute, because late in World War II, Hamburg was bombed, and it was the Allies, and so England's or whatever UK's forces and America did a whole ass operation. Yeah, the Royal Air Force and the United States Air Forces um, blitzed Hamburg, Germany, because they said it was a production site. They had heavy production, whether it's weapons or whatever. But if you listen to how they did it, before the development of the firestorm in Hamburg, there had been no rain for some time and everything was very dry. The unusually warm weather. Oh, hold on. Okay. and good conditions ensure that the bombing was highly concentrated around the intended targets and helped the resulting conflagration create a vortex and whirling updraft of superheated air, which became a 460-meter high tornado of fire. Now, I don't know if it's like further in here. Like I said, I wish I would have. It's in here somewhere how they did it, but it has to do with like aluminum flakes that they would dump on the city, like B-12s or whatever they use. Big bombers would go over the city and dump chemical, like aluminum chemical, like dry-ish aluminum chemical, very much so, kind of. Oh, that's a red flag, because aren't there huge planes with chemicals dumping weird stuff onto us every day? Anyway, but then what they did is so that you have all these like shrapnel like stuff in the air, like microscopic shrapnel in the air, and then you have. I know that was a short kind of like succinct little thing about what they did, but it must be in here, or I read a larger thing on this. Me and my son looked this up, and I think it's probably in this section where it talks about the actual air raids. It's a long read, and it's worth looking up because it's one of those things that I think goes under the radar. But this was a long campaign where these wins were not just there already. They made the winds. They used planes to create tornadoes. This is what they did. So before any bombs were dropped, they used their planes to create a tornado after dropping all this aluminum silicate stuff onto the city, which then made when the bombs first dropped, it just made, like they said, a fire tornado that just spread and spread and spread and spread and spread, unstoppable. But that's knowing this and then hearing what happened in Maui was just like, like what the. And you can talk about lasers all you want, and I'm not saying they didn't use lasers. I'm not saying, obviously, I don't think they had. I'm not saying they took stealth planes in there and created the hurricane with their planes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is a concerted effort to create a fire tornado. And what happens in Maui? Fire tornadoes. Well, how does that come about? We know how to make them. It's proof that we know how to make them and we know how to do it. Why would we do it to Hawaii? That's where some research comes in, and you gotta find those things out for yourself. But it's just one of those things that I don't think a lot of people know about is the Hamburg I say after World War II, but it was very late in World War II. It's nobody knows about this. Nobody I've talked to knows about this.
Yeah, and that's it all goes because like right now too, you got the war going on too, and that's interesting too. War 42, the Jesuit 42, World War 42. So there's the war going on as another distraction. But yeah, you're right. People don't know about fire tornadoes and it's like I said, you go back and look at that Paradise Fire. They said the fire was like blasting and flying like hundreds of miles an hour. And it was just like the fire was just that's how fast it was traveling. It was crazy. Just like and the people you just saw, people just got completely just melted away in their cars, standing outside, you see their skeleton in the car, houses just completely, just gone. But the yard, the grass, everything, still fine and, no problem there. So, with every one of these, it's a little something different, whether, they're using a laser that's, it's going to be, just this massive path to just take everything out, and not, try and just hit certain areas with, more strategic things that are just going to just whip something huge up on you and just, completely just engulf the area with whatever. But yeah, I mean, like I said, all this technology, all the patents are out, all this stuff's been out for a long time. And like I said, look at the Twisters movie this year. Comes out on 201st day of the year. More Twisters this year than any other year. I mean, these are things that people, everyone should be questioning. And, the hurricanes are, worst hurricane in over 100 years. Everything is just at an all-time high right now. And this is, and you just hear more and more of stuff like this. How many times you hear about a cyclone bomb? That's what they called it in Wyoming when they hit a cyclone bomb. I mean, come on. I mean, what are they telling you here? I mean, it's just like when we got hit in February out here in Seattle, 2019. It's the same thing. It's just like, what do you really think this is? I mean, and this stuff is, obviously it's just going to keep advancing. It's just going to keep getting worse. I mean, and it's not ever going away. And the weather is whatever they want it to be, and in the fact that stuff like this is now it's just part of the new normal. It's just if they've made this stuff just new normal, just someone's got to get devastated, right? I mean, there's got to be that earthquake, or there's got to be that twister, and there's got to be that hurricane. It's just like, no, there really doesn't have to be. I mean, look at what these things are doing. I mean, look at the trajectory of these hurricanes. Look at where they're hitting. Look at the paths they're places they're attacking in the mountains. I mean, what even is that? How is that attacking these areas and flooding these areas, and other places are fine? Like, this is why people got to know that this ain't what it supposedly seems to be, and it should be obvious by now. That these people down in these areas, they're basically just going to force you out of there. You're going to have nothing to be happy. You're going to get swept away because we ain't laying off. We're just going to keep hitting you because you don't even know we're hitting you. So. Yeah, I mean, it's sad situation on, it's sad for the people, and it's just sad they don't know. It's sad some people don't know and haven't caught on, and and it's just like I said, it doesn't have to be. It could be, they take you out of the cold. It could be -50, and just I've already had it. Places I've lived where it got so cold, the pipes are bursting on the inside of the buildings. There in Wisconsin in like 2014 in like February, it was so cold, the pipes are exploding on the inside of buildings. Like, they can make it so cold where, you just die, they just take you out with the cold. I mean, then that's where a lot of these people are going to go. Cause where do they go? It's like I said, it's just so strategic. I mean, to force people out of, the areas you want to be in the South, and, where it's warm and where you can garden, and, where you're down near the equator, and then you go up north where they freeze you out, and then, you go out west to Washington, they hit you with an earthquake. It's just, the only way is, like I said, it's revolution or bust. And that's why, people caught on to the technologies. And there's been, so many, like the Day After Tomorrow that was released in
you had me
2004.
thinking of that when you said Frozen, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, I saw that movie when it came out in back in 2004. It was like the first movie on DVD. All of a sudden, and of course, you showed New York in there, and freezing over, and the ice age, and then a lot of scientists right now, that's what they're saying. They say we're on the verge of an ice age, and they're still pushing the global warming, and then they're saying an ice age is coming, and it's going to be because they made it come. It's like, yeah, they're what are you going to do when you block out the sun? I mean, what do you think's going to happen? I mean, and who knows if it's like I said, they can just make Yellowstone explode, and then whatever. It kind of goes in with the Denver airport conspiracy, all the underground stuff and everything, and how they have the Yellowstone map on there when that blows, and all the other things they have down there, all the murals and everything. So yeah, all this stuff is connected on a huge level.
And at the same time, I do want to one little because of the destruction of Asheville, not to mention the the Blitmore estate we covered, but it's also one of the premier quartz sand mining operations, and of course it got devastated. But who's gonna of all of the people what government, what do you think the government's going to insure? What do you think the government's going to bail out? The quartz sand for electronic development, for technological development, or your 3-bedroom with a
Right.
with a barn? Which do you think is getting bailed out? So no, there'll be a double the size mine up and running in Asheville, and they'll package it as like jobs or something. Look, we brought jobs to the area. The affected area now has double the jobs. Get in the mine, boys. But it's just like, what a coincidence that, something nobody knew about. It's like nobody's telling you that. It's like, oh yeah, Asheville, North Carolina has one of something that the, you know, techno the technological world like relies on in America. Nobody knew that until this hurricane hit it. Oh, interesting. But we have dignitaries and presidents discussing the control of weather. Of course, famously, you have JFK. Let's see, this to the UN General Assembly. What date was this? 1961. So you have a pretty short window from 1952 to where it's admitted to, you know, 9 years later. We're just it's back of my hand knowledge. Everybody, they're talking about it, in front of all the nation's dignitaries and other foreign nations, especially Russia. This was huge. In my research, I saw that U.S. and Russia, especially when JFK. So here's something. It's conspiracy people. Me. um, we were in us and Russia. So you think that's kind of odd. This is Cold War. This is all these things. But you look at to what potentially led to it. Us and Russia were some of the only talkers in this idea that JFK was pushing for. Well, I don't say JFK necessarily, but at the time he was the voice for pushing this peace agenda, this thing of dismantling nuclear program worldwide, like being the figureheads of doing it and then forcing it globally. How they would do that, hey, I don't know. I don't know if a nuke is necessarily worse than like carpet bombing, but I don't know. I've never been in either, but I'm sure I will before it's all said and done. But that was the idea, is that they're going to slowly dismantle all nuclear. So no matter the net benefits of testing or anything, or of like running, fission or anything like that, a reactor, nope, we're slowly dismantling all of that to destroy it, to say we're doing things a different way worldwide. We're going to be the leaders on it, but none of the other major countries would sign off on it. But apparently Russia was like all for it at the time. So just another little tidbit for why JFK might have been taken out. But he famously said, spoke about weather modification, I think on two separate speeches. This is one of them. But we shall propose further cooperative efforts between all nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control. We shall propose finally. Now, listen to this. So it's like, oh, weather control, period. But listen to what he says after. We shall propose finally a global system of communications satellites linking the whole world in telegraph and telephone and radio and television. Now, if you had a tinfoil hat on, or what, yeah, it would have definitely been tinfoil, not aluminum foil back in the day. This would have been a red flag to you. You'd have been like, what? It's coming. The system's coming. This is the beast that he's talking about. This is linking the whole world. And similarly, his vice president, who replaced him, Lyndon Johnson, gave a famous speech during, all famous dignitaries and politicians always do this. That they give their college graduate speech type thing. Anyway, so I'll play this real quick. So, that's the famous quote there. But I watched quite a lot of this speech, and especially up in here, I would say a little bit 5 minutes before he's really going in about mainly Russia, mainly their well, he's talking about global cooperation, but him and JFK were pretty heavy on the whole Russia thing. Now, I don't think it's any coincidence that he happened to be vice president at the time, and I think he had the script that he was going to be president long before he became president through the means that he did. But it just goes to show that this idea of controlling the weather and using it for or at least getting Americans on board, getting the thought in their heads. Now, I don't know if I ever touched on this. I think I meant to, but like one of the major things about psychology, and you also I'll preface this with this is an earlier time, so these things were going out on radio broadcasts, and so like the people who are gonna hear it and read it, they're all gonna hear it and read it. There's not like heavy good television yet, but it's good enough, and the masses are gonna get this message pretty easily. This like so. To my point with psychology, it's proven, and I got to go look at like theories and everything just so I have the backing of that behind me. But I know about these things where even if it's a bad association in your head, in your conscious, is still better than no association when it comes to a new idea. When it comes to like some idea coming to the forefront, you will reject something you know nothing about, and you will accept something that even if all you know about it is technically negative, just because you know about it technically. It's this weird like phenomena where new information is easily rejected, whereas like even if they like a bad thought about something is more palatable to somebody because they already know about it in their subconscious. It's this weird thing. So that's what I see a lot of in propaganda. That's the purpose. It's to plant a seed. It's because 30, 40 years from now, 20, 30, 40, 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, they're going to bombard you with that thought. And anybody trying to tell you opposite of that thought will be a negative. They will not, they're going to be the lack of knowledge in your head. So you'll have never heard about what the conspiracy theorist is trying to warn you about. So you'll reject that because you don't have any idea. Whereas you'll say, you'll remember what the government said about it, and you'll more easily accept the thought that they're putting forward in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just like imprinting it in your mind. I mean, yeah, I mean, and that's just like the big battle too, because it's the mind control and all seeing eye 56, mind control 56, and how they have just it's just amazing how the TV is just taking care of everything. It just the way the TV has just at the MK Ultra, and just people can't get out of it. People can't because you're not going to hear this on the TV. Obviously, you're not going to hear. They're not going to tell you the stuff we talk about, and and they might throw out something, but then they're going to make it, stupid, or they're going to turn into something else. And it's just, there's some people that are just tuned into the TV, and that's their only source of information. And if they don't hear on the TV, then they just don't hear it at all. And that's the other big problem too, because, people, where people get their information from, people still, always, shunning it, things like YouTube and stuff. It's like, okay, well then, and there's still people that want to watch the TV, and they want to think that, everything on there is 100% fact, and they want to play along and think they know it all. And it's just, it's maddening because, for how many years have I been, talking about this stuff, like you said, and it's all come to pass, how many things got imprinted in our minds, and then you show people, and then, they're still tuned into the TV. they're still getting all their information from the TV, and they just, because they have nothing else, they can't listen to, Austin and Logan talk about this on YouTube, because who the hell are they? I got to have some billionaire in a suit and some successful rich person tell me what's up. They're going to look at us like a couple of losers. And that's the frustrating point, because it's like I talk about, like, where America was, where it is, where it's going. Well, you know, Klaus Schwab, people don't even know who that is. Did you hear about him on the TV? No, you don't. People, you got to research Event 201. You got to look into what he said. You're going to know nothing to be happy. You know who Donald Trump is? Yeah. You know who Bill Gates is? Then people want to, then they'll say, oh, no, it's Bill Gates. No, Trump, all these people are together. Didn't you just see Trump had Elon Musk with them on stage? I mean, you don't see these billionaires are all one of the same. I mean, how much money do you have? I mean, are you, how close to $1 billion are you? Have you ever been close to 1 million? I mean, come on. It's like, you really think these people are anything like you? They're on your side. They're going to tell you the truth. They're going to provide something for you, like I said, some loser Dr. Oz or some loser Fauci is just going to, oh, they have all the right answers, or are they just doing a religion, Oh, all this is happening right now because Jesus is coming back or God's coming back. It's God or Jesus doing all this,
Come back to us.
Oh,
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's just like I said,
He
it's
struck it
maddening.
down. He was like, "Don't talk about me."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's maddening. I mean, I just don't understand how people, some people just they don't want to do the research, but then they'll research other things. They'll know other things, but then they won't. It's like some people they know all about cars and mechanics. They know everything about it, but they know nothing about weather control. They know nothing about you know the Illuminati. They want to watch. It's like, how can you be so smart and come up with like this engine design for this vehicle, or be like an engineer for something and have such a powerful brain, but then not even know something this simple? I mean, that's what blows me away. And it's like I said, there's the fact, how could you know all this? It's like, well, you can just pull out your smartphone and start learning right now. I mean, how hard is it? I mean, we live in the age of information. It wasn't like this when I was a kid. You didn't just, there wasn't a YouTube, there wasn't internet. You couldn't just, you couldn't do what you can do now. But, now you can go back and, like I said, research all this stuff. How much of it was in your face? Like I told you, I didn't realize all things that were, in my face about all this. But then once, I mean, it's just, how can you deny it? I mean, like I said, COVID, Cobain, you can't see you're being mocked. You can't see how the connections here. You can't see how they're recycling all this. Everything's being recycled. It's being reused. Like I said, that people can't see just patterns. I mean, like when we had the all that craziness, even last year with the train derailments and everything. All these trains just couldn't stay on the tracks, and all the damage that was doing. I mean, people didn't catch on to that. I mean, what's and that's still going on this year. There's still been a ton of that this year as well. It's all these things, and they're all tied together. It's all the same thing, and that's like I said, if the biggest issue is somehow we have to get this on the TV. I feel, or we have to get people off the TV, because as long as you're tuned into the TV, I mean, the television, the tele-live vision, the tele-live vision, as
Cable
long as you're,
54.
yep, Cabal 54, Cable 54, yeah, as long as you're tuned into that with the MTV Unplugged going on, you're gonna think Kurt Cobain killed himself. But
You're
you
definitely
know,
plugged in. There's definitely the joke there. You're not
yeah,
unplugged. You're definitely in the matrix, buddy. Keep telling yourself you're unplugged. You are as plugged in as you can be. They're double checking your wires every like 30 minutes.
yeah, and it's no different than when someone tells me, "Oh, they're not getting rid of people." It's like, really? I mean, if you looked around at the agenda, how in your face it is. I mean, they're even telling you, why do we need men? What's the point of having a man around? I don't know. They built all the society, everything you have around you, the houses, the cars, like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, why do we need that? It's just like, people don't even know what's going on. It truly is phenomenal what they've been able to get people into. It's like I said, someone that could have been your neighbor, someone that could have been, it's a normal person. Well, now they're out of the equation because they got a face diaper on, and they're hooded up, and they're out of the world now. That was a normal person before COVID. totally normal. But now look at them; they just took them right out. And it's like I said, you got people, they'll get all riled up because of what's on the TV and they won't do any research, but they'll research all this other stuff. They'll know how to do all this other stuff, and they'll have their pride in it. But then you tell them something simple and it's like, oh, they're not getting rid of people. It's like, obviously you've never researched or heard of the Georgia Guidestones.
Yeah, that's kind of their, they're not hiding it. They're telling you exactly. It's just like, when are people going to understand that, like, how scary it is that they're not hiding it? How come they're like, no one should live in fear. And if there was, but the fear comes from solitude, from the disconnection from other like-minded people. It's hard not to feel a sense of dread and fear because there's nothing that anybody can do by themselves. It's going to take a concerted effort. And when you have such a mass dumbing down and diluting of people's priorities and, brain function, and I mean, a lot of it does come down to priorities, but they're coming for our children. They're coming for our land. They've damn near secured both already. What is hidden? What am I missing here? Am I missing something? Am I just seeing a whole different TV show than they're watching right in front of my eyes? Because from what I've seen, they give it to you shortly after all these natural disasters, but you get all these celebrities going in, and I'm not saying the celebrities are them, but they are the lords. They're the lords still aren't them, but they're the representatives of them. And I say that, very jokingly, especially on this channel. We know who these people are. This is a combination, concerted, combined effort between, all I'm willing to go as far as saying a large percentage of organized religion is in place for the same exact reason. It is the agenda that they want and push. The World Economic Forum, these large clandestine mega corporations, you can easily research what they do. They're in your backyard. You saw them. You saw the old Farmer Joe and Lady Gertrude. I don't know. I'm terrible at coming up with names off the spot. But you saw their farm, up and disappear. And what do you know? There's some big, large, flat buildings with huge smokestacks there now. You see these things right in front of your eyes. You look at places that disasters have struck. That you got these celebrities running out and buying up all the land. You got BlackRock becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and we don't even have to focus on conspiracy with this stuff. That's what I mean. It's like the conspiracy is really the icing on the cake. If you can't see it to the point where you need somebody to come up to show you like the conspiracy level of it, then you're already just like not there. You need something to happen to you. And that's what's really sad about it, is when that day comes, you're going to wish you took it more seriously when, you heard it before, when you saw it before. The hindsight's not going to help you. We all need better foresight.
Yeah. And it's so strategic what they've done, because it's just like you said, it's like, and then some people, the older people, they don't even care. I mean, a lot of older people, they don't care because it's like they're older and they're gonna die soon. So it's like, well, they don't care about this stuff. The world's going to hell. Why do they care? They're not coming into the world. They're on their way out. They're not looking for the future. They're like, well, I lived through the good days. I'm on my way out. I don't care about the future. So, and look who owns all land. Look who's got a lot of money. It's a lot of the older people. And it's like I've said before, it's like the the older people right now are doing a lot better. The younger people coming up are just completely screwed because, it's humanity doesn't care about them. And, you don't care about your people. This is what you're going to get. And, this is where it's going because, the suicides and everything, I see suicide being, just the biggest thing coming up. And, what they got, I know there's supposed to be a ton of, like AI, like sex bots that are supposed to be like out in like 2025 and stuff. And this supposed to, it's like it's supposed to be like out in the public and being, released and stuff. So they're ramping up this agenda rather quickly in terms of, I was just looking at that, the suicide pod. I was just looking at that.
Did you know the company's name? It's Exit Inc.
Oh yeah.
So nice. They really love us, don't they?
I was just reading about this yesterday too. I was watching a video on this. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just people just don't even care. I mean, people don't care. Kurt Cobain's been gone for 30 years. Why do I care about that? People don't care about the Twin Towers that was 20 some years. They don't even care about COVID that just happened. It's like people just don't care about anything. It's amazing. And it's like I said. I mean, people are wherever people are at, they're tuned into that agenda, whatever it is. I mean, people can watch that TV all they want because, they're going to sit there and they're going to think, well, Trump's not one of them. Trump's one of us. I mean, Trump's the only hope. I mean, Trump gets in there, he's going to turn this country around, man. I mean, did you hear what he said? I mean, I'm the best. I'm the best, and they're the worst, and I'm the greatest president ever. I mean, and people are, because they bought the COVID, they thought COVID was real, so they went along with it. They probably got the jab. Now they're sitting there in front of the TV and they're watching, they're watching, Trump, and they don't even notice Trump equals 88. Everywhere he goes, there's an 88 right there on the podium. I mean, I could point that out to somebody and that's stupid. That's not doing anything. Oh, I got to listen to Trump, man. They're just that's the way it is. I mean, you got people just, they got to watch the Seahawks Giants game today. It's a beautiful day, man. I got to go watch the Seahawks, bro. It's, I got to watch the 47 car mock us when it wins the race today. I got to watch the wrestling. I got to watch wrestling. I got to watch whatever the agenda is telling me to watch. That's just the thing. And people don't they don't care about what they should care about. They don't have the right priorities. People don't have priorities, period. I mean, you got so many people. It's like, how many handicapped disabled people do you have walking around that I see with handicapped disabled things hanging in their windshield? It's like, come on, man, you ain't winning. I mean, how are you winning? You're handicapped. I mean, you can't even walk. I mean, look at me. I can get on a trampoline and do flips. I can go run. I can walk. I can lift weights. I can do stuff. I'm useful. What are you? You're limping around like, and then you're looking up to some orange loser like Trump. And that's why you're a loser, because you're looking up to a loser. I mean, losers are losers because they look up to losers. And but they want it to, I hate losers. Well, if you're looking up to one, I mean, can't you see it? I mean, it's a reflection, they don't even see what they're looking at. I mean, and they want to take pride in it because, I mean, look how much money Elon Musk has, man. He's a billionaire. I mean, look at how much money Dr. Oz has. Look how much money Fauci has. You could throw your money away. They want to turn it all about money. It's like, yeah, but look at these people. They're all a bunch of ugly losers. This is what you tune into. See, this is why these people waste their time. They're wasting their time with some, retarded loser on the world stage, and it's making them a retarded loser in their own life. And they don't even see it. I mean, that's the amazing thing. I mean, how many people, and then like I said, the priorities, they get mad about stuff that has nothing to do with anything. People are mad because Michael Vick's fighting some dogs. Well, your ass just got swept away in a hurricane. I mean, what's more important here? Michael Vick fighting some dogs, or your ass getting taken out with a weather weapon? And that's where it's at. I mean, and this is the divide there in the division. I mean, like I've said, the division is never been higher. I mean, people are divided in every way you could be divided. And then you got people they're like you said, they're lost. They don't know what's going on. There's a lot of people that are lost right now and don't know what's going on. But you know, regardless of where you're at, you know, in your journey of being lost, you know, some way, somehow, I mean, I feel like people just have to find the truth. I mean, and it shouldn't be hard. I mean, you know, how many, like I said, though, but how many, you know, things I've researched over the years you can't find anymore. So it's like you kind of had to look at this stuff a long time ago already. You kind of had to find it, you know, at a young age, and or you know, you had to find it, you know, 10, 12, you know, 8 years ago. Otherwise, now it's a lot harder to find. But it's not like it's that hard to still find. I mean, there's always something to learn, and people want to. You know, most people they want to remain ignorant. You know, or they're just they're lost in the sauce. You know, I talk to some people, and you know, it's I just watch this agenda, just the way it's transformed people. Like I've said, people don't even look the same way they used to look. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a lot of women, you know, when I was a kid, they'd be what, like 120 pounds. Now they're looking like they're more like 170, 200 pounds. It's like, it's how, you know, the way they've changed people. I mean, how people don't understand about, you know, transhumanism. You know, how many people now, they don't even have a gender. I don't know what I'm looking at. It used to be just man, woman. Now I know what I'm looking at. You know, people don't even care about that. They don't care about their gender. They don't care about,
That's going to be a fun episode. I can't wait. I
yeah,
honestly can't wait. I got a loaded
yeah,
chamber for that one.
yeah. I mean, that's been ridiculous watching that go down in my lifetime. Because, like I said, I mean, that stuff just blew up in the last decade, and um, you know, and that's like I said, the agenda is so multifaceted. I mean, it really just depends on how much people you know, really want to retain information. I mean, like I said, some people just they will not look into, you know, anything else. It's too crazy. You know, it's just too out there, and I don't understand, you know, why people put these barriers up, these walls up, where they. I mean, I've always just been a curious person. I don't know. I've always wanted to look into things, learn things, understand the world. Like I was always open minded. You know, I mean, I don't
That's
know.
all
I
it
smoke a
takes.
lot of weed. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you need to smoke a lot of weed. I mean, maybe that's what you need to do. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you just. And there's some people that do smoke weed, and but they just, you know, they'll look at, uh, you know,
The amount
something
of
like the Georgia
drones that
Guidestones, and
smoke.
they go, oh, the 500 million. You know, that's not pertaining to us. You know, that's something else. You know, that's just the way it is. I mean, you know, and then you don't look at every other detail of depopulation that's in your face. I mean, the depopulation is everywhere. I mean, there's never been more lonely people. There's never been more suicide. There's never been more, you know, disasters killing people. There's never been, you know, crazier drivers. There's never been more turbo cancers. There's never been
These
more
turbo cans.
obesity. You know, there's never been a higher shit show than what we're living in, and you know, people still want to keep dismissing it. It truly is amazing. It's like I said. I mean, I just feel like this
Wow.
information has to get on the TV somehow. Like if we could get on the TV, if we could have that impact and people could tune into what we got going on. I mean, I don't know what else to really do for the people that are just stuck in the TV zone. I mean, I never could stand the TV. I mean, I come home and I have to listen to War on Terror. I don't care about this. I don't want to listen to this. This is bringing me down. You know, I'd rather do anything else than listen to what the TV has to say. You know, I never cared for the TV. I didn't want anything to do with it. You know, it's just like, but some people, that's all they have. All they have is a TV because it's, you know, well, I mean, I could learn about the Illuminati in a minute, but the TV is right there, man. I mean, Trump's talking. Did you hear what he just said? He said, I'm the best. You know, he's going to solve the problem. So that's the other problem. I mean, people just, how do you get them to see that these people are just clowns and just actors and complete losers? I mean, that's the other thing that I just can't believe. I mean, you know, whatever people are going to tune into, you know, how do you get people to see that this is the biggest scumbag of them all? I mean, it should be as obvious as, you know, I mean, it's there in your face, you know. Klaus Schwab, you know, nothing to be happy. Trump, the highest degree of satanic church, the highest degree of Church of Satan. I mean, it couldn't be more in your face, and people still want to deny it. And then they want to look at, you know, Elon Musk because, well, Elon Musk is a smart person. I mean, are you that smart, Austin? How much money do you have? I mean, I'm gonna, you know, I want to be like Elon Musk. I'm gonna, you know, go on his side. And then,
Tesla did something that was like smart, and like his company's Tesla, so like It's kind of cool. Like electric cars and like Tesla had electricity, so like that adds up.
Yeah, you can't afford a $70,000 car, Austin. Well, then you're a loser. I mean, yeah, you're why would I want to listen to you? I mean, where's your suit and tie? Where's your professionalism? It's like, yeah, it's called I have a brain and some eyes, and I can actually apply. I can just do basic math. I can just add on my fingers and see how this adds up. I mean, you're gonna sit and just, oh well, yeah, I heard about that, but I just think it's a little too crazy. I mean, it's just weather control. I mean, how do you possibly control the weather? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, did you ever stand outside one day and just watch the planes and watch them come in and watch them just change the weather? But you could literally do that. You could do that tomorrow. You could just watch the planes for 30 minutes and watch them move the stuff around. Watch them do it. I mean, it's something that is in it's in your own life that you can apply it to anytime you want. You can just step in and, wow, I mean, I never noticed that. It's like, how do you not see it? I mean, I'm seeing when I was a kid, I'm like, something ain't right with that. How do you not see it? So this is the thing this is why we got to do an episode, talk about what we are. Like, how can me and you sit here and see it, but nobody else can, and they don't care? It's like, that's what I mean to all this, the power of the mind. What even is the mind? That's where I'm at.
It's wild, and I think there's two things that can happen. You either see things on the micro or you see things on the macro. There's no like real in between. And the more knowledge you take in, I think, not to say knowledge is this like great thing, because like there's lots of bad knowledge, there's lots of pointless knowledge, but knowledge as the let's take the good from that term. The taking in of knowledge, I think it makes you see things closer to you, whereas the bad knowledge and the lack of knowledge makes you only see things far away. So you're never like honing into it's like 9/11 being a hoax. Well, it's a lot easier to say, oh, I wasn't there, oh, I don't know, blah blah blah, when you can know, you can find out these things, you can find out about cloud seeding, you can find out about weather control, you can find out about these military operations, you can find out about all of these things. But when you just keep everything so far out of your vision, you never, there's no incentive. First of all, I think that's the other problem too. There's zero incentive. And the incentive between me and you, this is the separation, is a moral incentive. There's a sin in our brain. We have a moral incentive. Mine, I think, was able to come out because of my children. I was able to quit smoking cigarettes cold turkey, quit drinking soda all in the same day. I didn't have that wherewithal. And I'd like to talk about that at some point too, because I think that's a big psyop that people need to, hear. They need to hear a different side of that argument, that it's so difficult because, a lot of people go a lot of different routes to deal with their vices. And I think it kind of plays into what we're talking about. Morally, you have to accept the call. Everybody has a call. There's somebody, there's something in our brains talking to us that we could say it's our own voice, but it's like, why did I just say that to myself? Like, why do I feel the need to do to do these things, to have these thoughts, to have, when I'm talking about morals, like to uphold a certain standard for me and the people around me. Why do I have that? Who told me to do that? Well, some people have, their fathers and mothers and stuff like that. I can tell you this: I didn't have anybody instilling morals into me. These are, you talk about why a beaver or a groundhog digs into the ground and comes out, at a specific time every year. It's like that. There's this weird instinct that it's not a learned thing. It's a calling. It's a call that I answered. And a lot of people aren't willing to answer that call. It's just sitting there in the back of their head. It's like similar to how people will let their fire alarms just beep. You know, it's just like a beeping fire alarm. Come on, check this out. You need to wake up, wake up, for lack of a better term. Wake up. And they just refuse to. It's why would I wake up? I'm sitting here in a nice warm pool with everything I think I want, and everybody's telling me this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's nice and warm, and I like it here. Nah, wake up. This is, for me, it's a moral dilemma. It's a moral issue. The thing you notice about those around you that separates from the flock is that same spark. That's what I see in Zach, especially when he talks about his story. It's absolutely eerie. You brought that up before. It is literally, I almost verbatim my story too. And I don't think that's any kind of coincidence. And if it is, there's something more there. There's something that we've done to attract it to us, or vice versa. There's something that attracts. You know what I was talking about earlier. I feel bad for the people that would be trapped in these kind of like natural disasters and things like that, and with our kind of mindset, it's like that must be hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For them, they're probably thinking, okay, well, I knew what they were capable of. I'm now going through it, and it's just there's nothing. There's nobody to come and get me. There's no sense of real purpose. You just see it all just get stripped away, and you're like, oh, so that's what it was. I feel really bad because by this time in our life, our parents should have done something. Our grandparents should have done something. That's about where I'll draw the line, probably, because it's pretty rough to ask our great grandparents to know what was happening. But still, that's just me being lenient. We've all, never mind the things that are actually going on when we open our eyes. I think we all understand that our brains and our knowledge and our thought processes are for more than completing shitty tasks. We're not little task doers. We are meant to make something, not necessarily as God is, or as whatever you want to call it, but it's certainly not little task man. And you mentioned the guys wearing their suits and their Teslas. How do you explain to them, to somebody who's living that large in the macro, that they are in a fake job? If you're not working infrastructure, or if you're not doing something that is hands-on infrastructure, you're in a fake job. If you're doing stocks, you're in a fake fucking job, buddy. It's like, look down on us all you want. You are literally out there playing Monopoly every fucking day. That's what you do. You play Monopoly like you're a little kid. And it just so happens to work for you because you're fueling a systematic, dumbing down, killing machine. That's what you are. But you think that because you have your Tesla and because you have your watch and your suit and you're living that image of niceness that the machine fed you, you think that you're hot shit, or that but how often are you in thought? Are you listening to the call in your brain? Is that what your brain was telling you? Is that what that call was telling you to do, is to go day trade and, go to the bar every day after work and look for cheap hookups, and like that's the pinnacle of the American dream, and that's like what people should be doing? You look at it, there's just no way, and it's sad. And I think I'm trying to answer a question with like a long philosophical diatribe, but what I mean to say is that I think the difference between us is that spark. And I think it's possible for everybody to have a spark and to hear the call, but there's too much pampering and appealing to emotion and macro things, like to keep them always looking to like it's blurry. Like everything in their life is just blurry. There's nothing that they're purely focused on. And they think that the things that they are focused on, they think are so important, not even realizing it's not what they would ever do if they were born on a farm. They would never want to do that. If their life was blue skies and the food is out in the garden, go get it. That's how we're living now. But it's just worked us into this cattle-like mindset where even they don't realize that they're prize bulls. They're still going to get slaughtered. The prize bull doesn't just get given the serum of youth. They get slaughtered just like all the other shitty cows. So analogy after analogy, I'm good at analogies at least, but yeah, so I think that's the disconnect between the knowers and then the knowers, the KNOWers and the NOers.
Yeah, I
That's a
mean,
good title.
I agree 100%. And, it's just like how we have the power to see things other people don't. I mean, that's really what I think it comes down to too. It's being able to see things other people can't, and being able to see things faster than other people. And I think that's, a big thing I've always had, on my side, is I see things other people don't. I see things faster than other people. It's like I said, that 54 that I see on the highway signs. I'm wondering about that, and how this Nirvana pet spa just shows up right next to me. It says all breeds grooming. I mean, why would it say that? I mean, it's got a perfect just 1414. You add 1414 equals 28, a perfect number. It's like, this is a perfect mocking. It's like, and to think I'm not going to see that and call it out. I mean, it is spooky. This stuff is spooky. I mean, you know, just like I said, how it all connects. I mean, look at, like I said, the Wisconsin Washington connection there, and then Seattle and Nirvana, and then Nirvana played in Milwaukee in '93. So then, they go to Milwaukee and play there, like equals 44. And the fact that I can see that, and I can draw these parallels, what's stopping somebody else from going back and, seeing that, or what's stopping somebody from, just noticing something that I would just find, crazy. That's really what it comes down to too. And, it's like I said, some people, their minds are they're just too gone. I mean, some people they can't, they wouldn't see anything, and some people, it's like they have an idea, but it's just certain things that they just can't seem to overcome. I mean, they just, it's like I said, or they're stuck. Some people are just stuck. I mean, like I said, they're stuck on the TV, or they're stuck in the middle, or they think, they're just chasing wealth and materialism and money, and they think that that's all it is, and they think that that's what life is, and then and then they're just gonna have that they want to be a celebrity, they want to be a millionaire, a billionaire, something they're most likely never gonna be, and they're never gonna find happiness and who they are. I mean, it's like, there's so many people living a lie, living in an illusion. They're living in a false reality. Living in the matrix. And it's what it is. We're Neo, the passports, the 9/11. It's all right there, and we see it all. But what's everyone else want to be? A doctor. It's like, well, what's everyone in school gonna grow up to be? Just everyone's gonna be a doctor. I mean, we gotta have people. There's got to be people for some guys got to be a mechanic. Some guys got to be able to build a house. Some guys got to be able to be a mover. Some guys gonna be able to, lay a asphalt driveway out, or a parking lot. So one guy's, gonna have to, have a delivery driving job. It can't just be nothing but doctors, like what they want to bring you up to be, because, oh, it's like the best job. That's where all the money's at. Well, there's gonna be doctors. There's gonna be nothing else, or you're gonna go to 8 years, college and school, to be a lawyer, because that's the one of the best jobs, better jobs. Then AI can just make a website in 10 minutes, and oh well, it's now screw you. Sorry, you're just about to you spent your whole life, all these years, like a decade into that, but oh no, AI's got that now. Sorry, so now you wasted your whole life for something that just got ripped away from you again. It's the same thing, and And like you said, morals and principles. The younger people, you know, my age and younger doesn't have the morals and principles. The older people don't care. Like I said, they're locked away. They've lived this life. They're good. So it's kind of like this battle in the middle right now. I mean, there's like this battle of population where it's like, okay, how many people, if we thin this herd, can make that difference? Like I said, you get 10% of the population to revolt, 10% would do it. Well, how do we get to 10%? And they've honestly been helping our numbers because they've gotten rid of a lot of people that took the jab and stuff. They're out of here. So, and they're depopulating every day right now. They're taking more people out down. So, they're thinning the herd out. But, how bad does it have to get for those that are left to say, you know what, maybe I'm going to pull up my smartphone and do a little research on weather control, or maybe, there's a little too many 4 5s, 5 4s, this Kurt Cobain thing, or, I just can't believe they found Osama bin Laden like that. They all these years are looking for him, and then about 10 years passed, and they got him. It's like, I don't know, they threw his body in the ocean. I mean, why not just show it on TV? Hey, we got bin Laden. He's right here. See, and here's the proof. I mean, this is what needs to happen. I mean, it's like I was saying, how can you live in this world and not be mad? I mean, how can the world not frustrate you? I mean, look at the things I've had to go through. Like I said, I had my car stolen, and ironically, when it was stolen December 2nd, leaving, it was 2022, the year of the tiger, and it left 29 days left to go in there, and carjacked equals 29. Then my windows got shot out. I got in that shooting in June, and they shot my window out. I closed the door, and the window blew. I didn't even know it was in a shooting, and then the bullet came out the front. And then I had to pay. I lost like 4 or 5 days of work from that, and then I had to pay $100 deductible. And then my insurance, I pay full coverage. I've been driving in Washington State. I've never been pulled over. Don't have any tickets, no accidents, no nothing, no trouble. And I pay full coverage, and then it's like they don't even want to pay it. And the guy's talking to me. He's like, "Yeah, Austin, all they got to do is really just push a button, man. And they really got to push a button and get it to go through." And he had to like double check them. He's like, "Hey, are you going to go through with this? Are you going to do it?" And they're telling me on the phone like, "No, we have problems all the time." Like, "Oh, what do you mean you have problems? I mean, what am I paying for? I mean, should I be rewarded? I mean, the way I drive, I mean, my insurance should be free. I shouldn't have to pay for insurance. I mean, I'm an outstanding driver. I mean." My resume speaks for itself. I mean, come on, and I have to pay all this. They don't even want to help out and do anything, and and it's like, come on, and what am I paying for? What are you doing over there? What's your job? Why don't I have a job like that where I can just slack off? I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna get paid for hour. It's just like, what a clown, this bullshit world we live in. It's just. You got to pay, like I said, I pay all this money for, cell service. I barely get cell service. I'm in my house. I can't even get cell service. I'm hooked up to Wi-Fi. What am I paying for? I'm paying the bill, right? Yeah, it's going through, but, screw you. You live here and there's no service. So whatever, and it's like I said, and, the things, all of us have to go through and deal with, and have to put up with, and it's all part of the agenda. You're going to nothing and be happy. And they don't even know someone's saying that to them because Illuminati, secret society. It's a secret, Klaus Schwab. But why is it a secret? I can't believe Event 201 is still a secret. How is that a secret? I mean, how is 9/11 that there was a simulation? You didn't know about Kurt Cobain and, this Rome suicide attempt, the staging of all of this. I mean, come on. I mean, there's always a simulation going on. There's always some funny business, It's the same stuff all the time. Yeah, we had a simulation for bin Laden, man. There was books about him and everything. And, we just knew he was coming. We knew it, but we couldn't stop him, man. He's just the most professional of all time. I mean, in COVID, it's the same thing, and then it's like I said, and what was so amazing about COVID too, it's like, Kurt Cobain, that was a day that came and gone. You had to be there and, check it out or you missed it. Same thing at 9/11, that, that day came and gone. You had to be there, check it out, you missed it. But COVID was ongoing every day. COVID was every day. You could have chose any day to go to the hospital to take a look at this. You had all this time to do research, and the way people were going about it, like everybody handled it differently. Everywhere you went, it was like, okay, what even is this? I mean, what's even going on here? I mean, that's just the thing. And it's like, and then people they branched off into, whatever reality they wanted to be. If they wanted to be part of the COVID, well, they just locked themselves up, put a hoodie on and a mask, and they're still, tapered off to the world to this day. They're out of here. It's just, you didn't have to kill them. You didn't have to do anything to them. They're just out of here. And then what did they even do with COVID? I mean, they didn't even do anything. I mean, did they put a gun to your head? Did they threaten you? I mean, was it really that scary? And what did they do? They didn't put a gun to your head. They didn't threaten you. They didn't do anything, did they? And people just gave right in. They just rolled right over. I mean, it's just, that's what I mean, that people just don't have the tenacity. There's no tenacity. There's no will to fight back, and then if you do, well, it's obviously China's fault, and COVID's real, so get a jab and vote for Trump and you're good to go, because that's what the agenda has you at. I mean, that's pretty much every person today. I mean, every person today is in, whatever mold they want to be put in. If you're someone that, is one of these like gender fluid people, well, then you don't look like a man or woman. You're just kind of like this it thing walking around and nobody knows what you are. But,
What
you
about the
just
percentage of gender fluid individuals that didn't get the vaccine? I bet that's a pretty minuscule number. And like when you think about that, that should be like, is it because they are so smart and they are so greater than us that they can see the benefits more than anybody else can? Or are they susceptible to manipulation? Which could it possibly be? It's probably they're just, 5-head geniuses. That's what I would guess. Probably all that blue hair dye is getting in there and like making them, making their synapse fire 3 times as fast. And
yeah, it's like I said, what they've done to people. I mean, it's mind blowing that people can't see the depopulation. I mean, depopulation. At anything. I mean, you must never go outside if you can't tell they're getting rid of people. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, what does that hurt? What do you think that is? What do you think that is? Think they're bringing more lives in here? They're saving people with that? I mean, come on.
And it's like you'll get more behind a story about like ISIS killing babies than you will about literal babies being swept away in a flood in your country, like bordering your state. You'll care less about that than like some major headline from our trusted news sources about supposed no footage bullshit. I mean, they're willing to show you dummies getting resuscitated during like a school shooting and like dummies laid out just like they won't, not even like hats on or anything, just like literally dummies in wheelchairs being pushed around, and they'll literally be flying a helicopter, paying a team to capture this. And while the news reporter is live saying the most ridiculous bullshit in your ear, and you'll just be like, yeah, that's a dummy and everything, but it's true. It's like, say that 5 times in the mirror, and if you still believe it the 5th time, just bash your skull into it and just do us all a favor. Because this is, some of the stuff is so overtly obvious that they do to us that I think is a little bit beyond salvation, I guess, if you will. But to your point, like without even having to necessarily, let's say, get rid of people. I mean, think about the mass exodus of people just from society because of something like COVID. It's like you talked about it. It's like, and what is the primary thing they're probably watching while they're all holed up in their homes? I guarantee you they're heavily taking in anime and these dark shows on Netflix and Hulu about the technocracy, about it being okay to be a shut-in, about it, you're going to be the shut-in that comes out of this with like a superpower, or you're going to be the shut-in that witnesses the murder, and drama is going to come and find you and spice up your life. You don't got to do anything. Just, enjoy this and eat crap and order more DoorDash and make that a reality. And it's like self-fulfilling prophecies. And when people take the power out of their lives and they succeed it to the government, they what's sad is they never even realized they had the power that they had. They gave it away so quickly and so ignorantly that they never even realized they had it. So convincing them that they're doing wrong by not standing up to this is near impossible, because they feel like they never had any chance. No, you had a chance. We all had chances, and we still all have a chance in some form or fashion. But I'm not trying to fight a war with a bunch of maskers. Like, I don't see that working out. I see what I see happening is a small percentage of people somehow finding a way to break away from the establishment and stop, whether or not it's a large percentage of the population. I don't think that's important. I think the fact that, because look at what a small group of Antifa can do. Like, that should be enough for truth-seeking people to see what a relatively small group can do to a city. Not to say that we should also destroy it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, look, though, look at what they were able to do with such a small force. If we had a small force, it would be something small. Could still be, if we were to make a fuss in some form or fashion, or cause a ruckus in some form or fashion. I'm not saying doing anything violent at all. I'm just saying not going against the status quo. They would have to acknowledge it, and how they acknowledge it, I feel like would set off a chain reaction for, and sadly to say, like I said before, I'm not trying to be a martyr here. That might come across like I'm like, front lines me, boy, like I'm ready to go. It's like that, it's like that, but it's, that's not the end all be all. I don't want Mad Max. That's not what I'm aiming for. I want a place for my children for them to see not any kind of American bullshit dream, but just to live a life, to be able to live their life in, as natural a way as possible.
Yeah, and that's the thing too to all of this too. It's like I was saying, what separates us from them? Because let's be honest, it's like you could say it's fluoride, or you could say it's the GMOs, or it's whatever. But well, I know I've got tons of fluoride in me over the years. I've got tons of GMOs in me over the years. When I was a kid, I ate McDonald's all the time because that's where I was. And I never was fat. I never was out of shape. I mean, I just it's like that's I mean, I get the same stuff from the chemtrails, all the poisons. I get what everyone else gets, and so I have the same dumbing down. I know the year I was born in 95, I looked up, I got 3 vaccines that year. So you're not supposed to have any vaccines. So I got 3. So I probably got some autism in me, some retardation, all the things they've done to me, but look at me. I'm still standing strong. I'm still fit. I can somehow still see through. So what really is going on here? Because they're doing all this to me. I'm going through it, I've had to deal with it, and here I am, and I'm fine, and I can still do what needs to be done. But it's like this happens to others, and it's like it just shuts them down, and it just it's like I said, I don't know what we are. I mean, I don't know how this works, and what the power of the mind and everything, and and it just showed, in 2020, like I was saying, people the power of the mind, and people not being able to it's like people that even thought it was still bullshit. Oh yeah, it's bullshit, but I have to still go along with it because it's just the narrative. I mean, they just couldn't get off the narrative. I'm like, well, I mean, doesn't it piss you off? This is going on. It's like, oh, it's bullshit, but yeah, doesn't it piss you off? Like, how does this not make you mad? I mean, how are you not frustrated that they literally just how is this not wrecking your life? Like, how are you going, or where are you going to go to get away from this where it's not going to bother you? You know what I mean? It's like everywhere you go, you have to deal with this. So it's like, we're all taking a loss from this. Now we all got to deal with the inflation, all the bullshit that's come from it. So yeah, you have to put up with it. So, shouldn't you, get mad and want to do something about it? Like, that's just the point where I'm at with it. It's like, I just don't get it. Cause it's like, I go through the same stuff everyone else has gone through, I've been through all of it. And somehow, I have the eyes, I have the vision, and these people don't, or they just can't stand up to the tyranny. It's just, they're just too much fear, I guess. I don't know what it is. I mean, like I said, I don't have much faith and hope in the young people because, like I said, their lives are, so much, I mean, look at my life. It's been nothing but terror. It's been nothing but fear, right? I mean, Kurt Cobain, Oklahoma City, 9/11, COVID. I mean, where was the room for me to ever have a life in a future? I mean, it all got taken away. So you see a lot of the younger people struggling. Well, yeah, that's why they're struggling. They were born into the agenda. Like I said, I couldn't imagine what it's like coming up right now. I couldn't imagine what it's like and what you had to go through. I couldn't imagine having to go through school, as bad as school as I couldn't imagine having to go through the times of COVID, and having to deal with everything that's they've pushed on the younger people. Uh, they've traumatized the youth. They've destroyed the youth. They've dumbed down the youth. They've made the youth obese and lazy, and people don't want to do anything. And it's like the ones that might want to do something, or like might have a chance. Well, they just get they're being taken out in the hurricane right now. They're being taken out in some other agenda. So yeah, I mean, it's so frustrating to sit and watch this, but at the same time, it's like, how many years have gone by where I've known this and I've been into it. People still are nowhere near where I'm at. That's just, it's like this tale of two sides where this is what you get. You get, the years that, we always knew something was up. They never figured it out. Well, here we are dealing with it. And it's like, it's just got to come to that point where something has to give. And I just feel like that's where we're at now.
Yeah, the frustration is definitely reaching, I would say, a fever pitch, a boiling point, whatever you want to call it. And obviously, I think we both know that that's not the ultimate way forward, but I think we're both honest people, and that's just honestly what it is right now. And without some mass awakening, maybe the Starlink chips open all of our third eyes or something, some bullshit like that. Seeing any kind of like major reversal in this without a catastrophe, pretty much is what I think about. I think they could literally crash another plane into One World Trade Center and still it wouldn't do it. People would just be like, "Oh my god, there was 19 Pakistani uh, converts from Russia, and they did it this time."
Yeah, they could get Dave Grohl to get that 20 gauge going on April 5th. He might just get a little depressed and just get another one for 4 or 5, and then maybe he'll do an MTV Unplugged before then too, and make sure they have that playing as well. I mean, that's where it's at. I mean, this to just keep going and going and going and going and going and going, and it's never end or it's annoying. I mean, it's annoying. It's frustrating, and it truly is mind blowing. It truly is. I mean, whether you're looking at the gematria, the numerology, the dates, the symbolism, anything. I mean, however people still can't see it or refuse to see it is truly mind blowing.
I agree with that, and I can't help but want to leave it on a slightly higher frequency because it is about wrapping up time. I do gotta transcode this bad boy to get it onto YouTube. We're nearing 3.5 hours, which is a juicy amount, I would say. But you know, for all the doom and gloom type talk, that's really not what this is, and I don't think either one of you take it that way from each other. Anybody watching that may see this or take in truth surrounding truth like channels or are able to see further from than just what's right in front of them enough to start their own journey of like waking up. I hate these terms, it sucks, but what needs to happen in my opinion is you need to let it guide you. You just need to let it's hard to put this into words because for me it was like I explained, it was so like out of body almost. But like I was saying earlier, I think everybody is getting a call, and you just need to answer that call from your human, incredibly insane, unexplainable body that this is not what we're supposed to be doing. Whether I'm not saying that I want us all to form the perfect society and all just be like mentally into one. We're all meant to be just like in a pool, just melded together. And that's not what I mean. It's just like we need to collectively evolve. We need to notice our devolution and come out of it. It's not even about evolving. It's about like just coming out of the devolution that we're going through. We are such terrible representations of what we can be, and we need to see that, and instead of running from it, we need to run out of it. We need to see that light and run towards it. I know you're not supposed to run towards the light, but in this case we got a bunch of zombies anyway. Run towards that light. It can't be bad at this point. So I think in closing, I just think that it's going to take a concerted effort. It's going to take people reaching out. Me and Austin are here. I have a email up. I think I want to start a Discord as psyopy as that. Everything is a psyop. So, but at the same, I'm on YouTube, so it is what it is. But we need to start getting, informed. We're both on the Mighty Network, the Gematria Effect News community. We need to start linking up. We need to start making impacts in our own little bubbles. And the people that are on the fence about this, they need to Humpty Dumpty. They need to just let it happen. This world is going to hell in a handbasket all around them. And the last thing we need is a bunch more lemmings joining the cult of America and the world at large before we're all, like I said, thrown in the wood chipper together. No one's going to look different when we're all the same color mulch. No one's going to be unique then. So anyway, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. And, it's like I just keep saying, people got to look at, they have to know this is all connected. I mean, you got to know everything in life is connected. It's all one. There is no difference. There's no United States, Russia, China, South America, there is no, Kurt Cobain, 9/11 Cobra. No, it's all the same thing. These hurricanes are all the same thing. And that's why you got Kurt coming up at you out in the Atlantic right now, spooling up a Category 4 because they got to get that mockery on there. And, yeah, people just got to realize the world's just a stage. I mean, it's a clown show. nothing but, clowns and losers and actors, frauds, puppets on the world stage. You're not going to get nothing out of these people. They don't deserve any of your attention. They do nothing for you. And like I said, before in the first episode, it's all about community. Really, at the end of the day, you got to have that sense of community, belonging. There just has to be, somehow through this, we just have to unite and come together, and that's the only way. Like I said, you got to be your own Illuminati. They work together. They come together. They have teamwork, cooperation. That's how they run the world, and we're all competing with each other and at each other, and that's why we're losing. And somehow that has to change, and we have to be more like the Illuminati, and and somehow change that tide. And that's like I said, that's where the battle's at, and the big battle too, like I said too, is people just got to remove themselves from all the things in life that stopping you from there's some people, like I said, that they're too old, they don't care, they're gone, it is what it is, or they're just never gonna get it. There are those people, and and they're people that they're just not meant to be like us. But for those that are on the fence and just need that that little shove to get them over, I think that's what it really is. I mean, because there's people like us down there in Florida and Texas and places where there's all this going on right now. There's millions of people. There's people like us that are involved in this that they love Florida, love Texas. They want to live in the South where it's warm and they can have their garden stuff. And but then they get swept away in a hurricane, and they don't know where to go, and they feel hopeless, helpless. And like I said, as sad as the situation is, we have to just somehow motivate and inspire people. And, that's like what we're doing now with these podcasts and, pounding pavement. And, that's just what's got to happen. I mean, it just takes community. It takes the right people. And, that's how people just have to catch on. There has to be, people have to just find a way to come together at the end of the day, find a way to, you know, sync up and find that synergy.
So I think if I'm hearing you right, I think what you're trying to say is that we need to come up with a bunch of cool hand signals and occultic iconography for for the things that we put out. Be more like the Illuminati, right?
Oh yeah, got to get that all CNI. Look at that, the 666.
Oh no, we've already been over 3 hours. That's dang it. But yeah, on that note, and see, I think something right there. Like if I was watching a video and like up till this point, it's been like I've just been vibing, and then the two hosts did that, even I'd be like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
Oh, there's the pyramid.
So yeah. Anyway, we'll leave you guys with that. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you watch, and the scroll has been going this whole time. Feel free to drop a suggestion, a thought to this email. Leave it in the comments section.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to come on, if they got anything to add, like I said, we'll, do little like 10, 20, 30-minute introductions, like, Kurt Cobain, Nirvana, things to add on every episode, and, branch off from there to, other topics and stuff. And, people can talk about whatever they want, whatever they, is on their mind, and whatever people, are interested in. And, what people, if you want to, if you got something to say, email, or, or you just, get intrigued and want to, join us later on, we'll be doing these weekly. So, you'll have something to tune into every week.
And hopefully this leads up to, I say hopefully, it will. Eventually we will, try to plan out some lives. And, this is in our infancy, so to speak. So, we'll get more organized. We'll get, some other things together. And like like Austin points out, as, talking about pounding pavement, I mean, that is the, I would say, like the driving goal. And I would say even to that end, there's things we can do separately, but I almost want this not to sound like too mainstreamy, but to appear as a brand and eventually, spring forth something potentially. But as a brand, I would love to, be able to eventually especially if we had like a nice base, you know, to like Zach, you know, go out and pound pavement together and preach the good word.
Yeah, pounding pavements, it's the best way to do it. You know, I go out there, you know, Pike Splish, you know, me and Zach, you know, I've met up with him 5 times, you know, so, you know, we've done a lot, and that's really the best way to do it because, you know, it's,
Connection.
especially if you have a lot of people, you know, the more people you have, the better. And, you know, you go out, and that's the best way to do it is, you know, because it's hard to get the word out on the, you know, the internet, and it's hard to, you know, get, you know, views on YouTube, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, it might be medical misinformation on there or something. So, yeah, it's the best way I feel is, you know, and it's just the power of coming together, you know, the power of one, you know, the power of, you know, when you're out there and we're pounding pavement, you know, you just see, you know, we're out there, we're locked in, we're engaged, you know, we'll be out there, you know, 9, 10 hours a day. So that's what it takes to change the world. And that's what's got to happen. People just, I feel like that's the best way to do it.
Absolutely, brother. All righty. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. And this is Logan and Austin signing out. Have a good one, guys.